My beloved child, before you go any further, I want you to listen carefully. Do not rush past this moment. Do not treat these words as ordinary. There is a reason your eyes have found this message today. Out of countless voices competing for your attention, you are here, right now, hearing these words. And deep within your heart, there is a quiet question beginning to rise. Why? I know that question because I placed it there. You may think this is just another video. You may think this is simply another message among many. But my beloved child, there are moments in life that seem ordinary on the surface while heaven is quietly moving beneath them. There are moments when what appears random is actually part of a greater design. This is one of those moments. I have been watching you. I have seen the thoughts you never spoke aloud. I have seen the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. I have seen the burdens you carried while telling everyone around you that you were fine. Others may only know pieces of your story, but I know every chapter. I know every fear that visits you in the quiet hours. I know every disappointment that still lingers in your heart. I know every prayer you whispered when nobody else was listening. And that is why I am speaking to you now. There is something happening around you that you cannot fully see yet. Like a traveler walking through a thick morning fog, you have been trying to understand where your path is leading. Some days you felt confident. Other days you felt lost. Some days you believed everything would work out. Other days you questioned whether anyone truly understood what you were carrying. But I understood. Imagine a child standing at the edge of a vast forest. The path ahead twists and disappears among the trees. The child cannot see what lies beyond the next turn, and fear begins to whisper that there is no way forward. Yet standing above the forest is a loving father who sees every trail, every clearing, every destination. The child sees confusion. The father sees the entire journey. My beloved child, you have been looking at pieces of your life while I have been seeing the whole picture. This message is not appearing before you by accident. There are things I want you to remember. There are truths I want you to hear. There are fears I want to silence. And there are promises I want to awaken inside your heart again. The season you are living in is more important than you realize. What feels like delay is not always delay. What feels like silence is not always silence. What feels like an ending may actually be the beginning of something greater than you have imagined. So stay with me. Set aside every distraction for these moments. Open your heart. Listen closely. Because what I am about to reveal is not meant to increase your fear. It is meant to awaken your hope. For this message, my beloved child, is one you were meant to hear. My beloved child, before your finger touched the screen, before your eyes read the title, before you even realized you would be here, I already knew this moment would come. Nothing about your arrival here has surprised me. You may think you made a simple choice today. You may believe you were scrolling, searching, or simply passing time when you found this message. Yet I want you to understand something that can bring great comfort to your heart. I saw you before you clicked. I knew the exact moment you would arrive. I knew the condition of your heart. I knew the questions you were carrying. I knew the answers you were desperately searching for, even when you could not put those questions into words. My beloved child, I have never lost sight of you. There have been moments when you felt invisible. Moments when it seemed like nobody noticed your efforts. Moments when you wondered if your prayers were simply disappearing into silence. But even during those seasons, my eyes remained upon you. I saw you when you stayed awake at night, staring into the darkness while your mind raced with worries about tomorrow. I saw you when you smiled in front of others while carrying a storm inside your heart. I saw you when disappointment knocked on your door again and again, testing your strength. I saw you when you questioned yourself, when you doubted your abilities, when you wondered whether you were enough. And through every moment, I remained beside you. Here is a story I want you to imagine. A shepherd once owned a large flock of sheep. Every day they wandered across hills and valleys. To anyone watching from a distance, the sheep looked nearly identical. But the shepherd knew each one. He knew their habits. He knew their fears. He knew which ones wandered too far and which ones stayed close. Even when a sheep disappeared behind hills and trees, the shepherd never forgot where it belonged. My beloved child, you are not a face in a crowd to me. You are not a number. You are not overlooked. You are known. Every detail of your journey matters to me. The victories that made you smile, the failures that made you cry, the dreams you shared with others, the dreams you buried in silence. I know them all. Perhaps recently you have been asking yourself why certain events unfolded the way they did, why some opportunities disappeared, why certain people left your life, why answers seemed delayed. You have been looking at individual pieces of a puzzle, while I have been holding the completed picture in my hands. There are connections you cannot yet see. There are prayers being answered in ways you do not yet recognize. There are protections you have mistaken for disappointments. There are blessings moving toward you that required preparation before they could arrive. My beloved child, sometimes when I guide your life, it feels confusing because you can only see the current chapter. Yet I see every chapter at once. I see where you have been, where you stand now, and where I am leading you. That is why you must not allow fear to become your guide. Fear only sees obstacles. Fear only sees delays. Fear only sees uncertainty. But I see possibility where you see limitation. I see growth where you see struggle. I see purpose where you see confusion. Even now, as you listen to my voice through these words, there are things moving into place that you cannot yet understand. Conversations are happening. Doors are being prepared. Lessons are taking root within your spirit. Strength is being developed inside you. Nothing has been wasted. Not your tears. Not your waiting. Not your heartache. Not your questions. Not even the seasons that seem empty. Every step hath been part of a greater story. And here is what I want you to remember today, my beloved child. If I knew you before you arrived at this moment, then I also know exactly what comes next. The future is not hidden from me. The path ahead is not uncertain to me. The challenges that concern you have already passed beneath my gaze. So rest your heart. Release the burden of believing that everything depends on you. You do not have to carry tomorrow before it arrives. You do not have to solve every mystery today. You do not have to understand every detail before taking the next step. Simply trust that the one who saw you before you clicked is the same one who is guiding your journey now. And as you continue listening, I want you to know this. What I am about to reveal next may touch a place deep inside your heart that few people ever see. Because I know the burden you have been carrying, even when nobody else does. My beloved child, there is something I want to speak to gently today. It is something you rarely talk about. Something you often hide behind polite smiles, busy schedules, and daily responsibilities. Yet I see it clearly. I see the burden you have been carrying. Not every burden can be seen with human eyes. Some burdens are invisible. They do not leave marks on your hands or your face, yet they weigh heavily upon your heart. They follow you into the morning and linger beside you at night. They sit quietly in the background of your thoughts, draining your energy little by little. You have become so accustomed to carrying this weight that sometimes you forget how heavy it truly is. You tell yourself to keep going. You tell yourself to stay strong. You tell yourself that others have problems too, so perhaps you should not complain. But my beloved child, strength does not mean pretending the burden is not there. And today, I want you to know that I see it. I see the pressure you place upon yourself. The constant feeling that you must do more, achieve more, fix more, carry more. I see the exhaustion that comes from always trying to hold everything together. I see the fear that if you stop for even a moment, everything might fall apart. I see the questions you have not spoken aloud. Questions like, am I doing enough? Will things ever get better? How much longer can I keep carrying this? You may not have shared these thoughts with anyone else, but you do not have to explain them to me. I already know. Imagine a traveler walking along a long road carrying a backpack filled with stones. At first, the weight seems manageable. One stone represents a disappointment. Another represents a fear. Another represents regret. Another represents responsibility. As the journey continues, more stones are added. The traveler keeps walking because stopping does not seem like an option. After a while, the traveler forgets what it feels like to walk without the way. My beloved child, some of those stones were never meant for you to carry alone. Some burdens belong in my hands. Some worries belong in my care. Some fears were never meant to become permanent residents in your heart. Yet I know why you hold on to them. You care deeply. You love deeply. You want to protect the people around you. You want to make wise choices. You want your future to be secure. Your heart carries these concerns because you are trying to do what is right. But even a loving heart can become weary. Even a faithful soul can grow tired. Even a strong person needs rest. Perhaps there have been days when you felt emotionally drained without fully understanding why. Days when simple tasks felt heavier than usual. Days when motivation seemed distant. Days when you wished someone would simply understand what you were carrying without needing an explanation. My beloved child, I understand. Every silent tear. Every hidden disappointment. Every lonely battle. Every moment you felt overwhelmed. I was there. There is nothing weak about admitting that the burden has become heavy. A tree that stands through many storms develops strong roots, but even the strongest tree needs water. Even the strongest tree needs nourishment. In the same way, your soul needs renewal. That renewal begins when you stop believing that everything depends on your own strength. You were never created to carry the entire world upon your shoulders. You were never asked to control every outcome. You were never meant to solve every problem before it appears. Yet somehow, over time, you began carrying responsibilities that belong to me. My beloved child, I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities. I am asking you to release the fear attached to them. There is a difference. Continue walking faithfully. Continue doing what you can. Continue taking the next step before you. But stop carrying tomorrow's worries today. Stop carrying every possible outcome in your imagination. Stop carrying burdens that have not even arrived. I know this is not easy. I know the habit of worrying can feel stronger than peace. But I am inviting you into something better. I am inviting you to trust that I am already present in the places where your fears try to travel. The future that concerns you is already known to me. The answers you seek are not lost. The doors meant for you have not disappeared. The purpose for your life remains intact. And even now, as you listen to my voice, I want you to picture yourself setting down one burden. Just one. the burden that has occupied your thoughts the most, the burden that has stolen your peace, the burden that keeps returning to your mind. Place it in my hands, not because it no longer matters, but because you no longer have to carry it alone. For there is something you may not fully realize yet, my beloved child. The very struggles that have weighed upon your heart have also been changing you. They have been teaching lessons hidden beneath the surface, lessons that will soon become clear as we continue this journey together. My beloved child, have you noticed it? Something has felt different lately. You may not have been able to explain it. You may have struggled to find the right words. But deep inside, there has been a quiet stirring, a sense that something is changing, a feeling that you no longer fit comfortably into places, habits, or situations that once seemed familiar. And perhaps that feeling has confused you. There have been moments when you looked around and wondered why your heart no longer responds to certain things the way it once did. Conversations that used to excite you now feel empty. Goals that once consumed your attention no longer satisfy you in the same way. Even some relationships may feel different, as though an invisible shift has taken place beneath the surface. My beloved child, you are not imagining it. Something is changing, but it is not happening around you first. It is happening within you. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Long before anyone sees growth above the ground, transformation is taking place beneath the soil. Roots are stretching deeper. Strength is being developed in hidden places. Preparation is occurring where no human eye can see it. In the same way, I have been working within your heart. You have been entering a season of preparation. That is why some things no longer feel the same. That is why certain old patterns feel uncomfortable. That is why you have felt restless at times. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something is growing within you. Many people mistake spiritual growth for confusion because both can feel uncomfortable in the beginning. Growth often requires leaving behind what is familiar. Growth challenges old ways of thinking. Growth asks you to trust me even when you cannot yet see the destination. And that can feel unsettling. Imagine an eagle raised among chickens. For years it walks the ground, believing it belongs there. It watches the sky but never imagines it was created to soar through it. Then one day something awakens inside. The eagle begins to notice the wind differently. It starts looking upward more often. It feels a pull toward something greater. At first, that feeling creates discomfort. Why? Because what once felt normal no longer feels right. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where I am awakening you to something greater. You are beginning to see differently. You are beginning to think differently. You are beginning to desire different things. And while part of you welcomes the change, another part of you may feel uncertain. You may wonder where all of this is leading. You may wonder why certain doors seem to be closing. You may wonder why some people no longer understand you. You may even wonder why your heart feels so restless. The answer is simple. I am preparing you for a new chapter. Not every transition begins with a dramatic event. Sometimes it begins with a quiet shift inside the soul. A new season often announces itself through a growing dissatisfaction with remaining where you are. What once felt comfortable begins to feel restrictive. What once felt permanent begins to feel temporary. What once seemed enough begins to reveal its limitations. Do not fear this process. Do not mistake it for failure. Do not assume you are lost simply because you are changing. A river does not apologize for flowing forward. The seasons do not apologize for changing. And you do not need to fear the transformation I am bringing into your life. My beloved child, I know there have been days when you wished for clearer answers. Days when you wanted me to reveal every detail of the future. Days when you longed for certainty. But if I showed you everything at once, you would focus on the destination and miss the growth taking place along the journey. Right now, I am teaching you to trust my guidance one step at a time. I am strengthening your faith. I am expanding your vision. I am loosening your attachment to things that cannot go where I am leading you. And although that process may feel uncomfortable, it is producing something beautiful. One day you will look back and realize that what felt like confusion was actually preparation. What felt like restlessness was actually awakening. What felt like uncertainty was actually my hand gently leading you toward a greater purpose. So stop questioning whether you are falling apart. You are not falling apart. You are being transformed. Stop believing that every uncomfortable feeling means something is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is simply evidence that growth is taking place. Sometimes the stretching is proof that expansion is coming. Sometimes the restlessness is proof that you are being called higher. My beloved child, trust what I am doing in this season. You do not need all the answers today. You only need to know that I am leading you. And where I lead, I also provide. Where I guide, I also protect. Where I prepare, I also fulfill. For very soon, you will begin to understand that some of the doors that closed behind you were never punishments. They were acts of protection. And what seemed like rejection was actually my loving hand directing you towards something far better than you could see at the time. My beloved child, I know there is a door you still think about. A door you hoped would open. A door you prayed over. A door you invested your time, energy, and emotions into. Perhaps it was a relationship you believed would last forever. Perhaps it was an opportunity you worked tirelessly to reach. Perhaps it was a dream that seemed so close you could almost touch it. You saw a future connected to that door. You imagined what life would look like once it opened. Then it closed. And when it did, something inside you broke. You tried to understand why. You replayed conversations. You questioned your decisions. You wondered whether you had made a mistake. You searched for answers that never seemed to come. My beloved child, I know how painful closed doors can be. The pain does not come only from losing the opportunity itself. The deeper pain often comes from losing the future you imagined would come through it. You mourn what might have been. You grieve possibilities that never had the chance to unfold. And sometimes, without realizing it, you begin to believe that the closed door represents the end of your story. But I want you to hear me clearly today. That door was not your destination, and its closing was not your ending. Imagine a traveler walking toward a mountain village. Along the way, the traveler reaches a bridge that appears to be the only path forward. Excited and hopeful, the traveler begins crossing. But halfway across, the bridge collapses. At first, it feels like disaster. At first, it feels unfair. At first, it feels like the journey is over. What the traveler does not know is that beyond the bridge lies a dangerous landslide waiting to occur. The collapse of the bridge was not destruction. It was protection. My beloved child, there have been moments when my protection felt like rejection. There have been moments when my guidance felt like disappointment. There have been moments when my love looked nothing like what you expected. But that does not make it any less love. You often ask me to show you the next step. Yet if you could see everything I see, you would understand why some doors had to close. You would understand why certain relationships could not continue. You would understand why certain opportunities were removed. You would understand why some plans fell apart despite your best efforts. The truth is this: not every open door is meant for you. and not every closed door is a loss. Some doors close because they have completed their purpose. Some doors close because they cannot take you where you are meant to go. Some doors close because I am redirecting you towards something better. I know that word, better, can be difficult to accept when your heart is hurting. When disappointment is fresh, it is hard to imagine that anything good could come from it. But consider the seasons of nature. A tree does not resist the falling of its leaves forever. The leaves must fall so that new growth can come in its proper time. If the tree clung desperately to what was leaving, it would miss what was preparing to arrive. My beloved child, some things have left your life because new things are making their way toward you. Yet many people become trapped standing in front of closed doors. They spend years staring at what ended, years replaying old memories, years wishing they could return to a chapter that has already been completed. Meanwhile, new doors stand nearby waiting to be discovered. I do not want that for you. I do not want your future to be held hostage by your past. I do not want your hope to remain trapped inside yesterday's disappointments. I want you to lift your eyes. I want you to trust that I am still leading you. Even now, while you wonder why certain things happened, I am arranging circumstances you cannot yet see. I am preparing opportunities you have not yet imagined. I am bringing lessons together in ways that will eventually make sense. The path ahead may not look like the one you originally planned, but that does not mean it is lesser. In fact, many of the greatest blessings arrive through roads we never intended to travel. Think of the rivers that carve their way through mountains. When they encounter obstacles, they do not stop flowing. They find another way forward. Their destination remains the same, even when the route changes. My beloved child, your purpose has not disappeared because a door closed. Your future has not been canceled. Your calling has not been withdrawn. One closed door cannot stop what I have planned for your life. If anything, it is positioning you more precisely for what comes next. So release the need to understand every reason. Release the belief that you lost everything when the door closed. Release the fear that your best days are behind you. What I have for you cannot be destroyed by one disappointment. What I have spoken over your life cannot be canceled by one setback. And very soon, you will begin to see that some of the hardest battles you have faced were not taking place around you at all. They were taking place deep within you, in hidden places where fear, doubt, and uncertainty have been fighting for your attention. That is where I will meet you next, my beloved child. My beloved child, there is a battle you have been fighting that very few people truly understand. To the world around you, you may appear strong. You may appear calm, capable, and in control. People see your smile. They see your responsibilities. They see the version of you that continues to show up each day despite everything you carry. But there is another side of the story. There are struggles that exist behind closed doors. There are thoughts you never speak aloud. There are fears you carefully hide. There are moments when the noise around you fades, and suddenly you are left alone with your own mind. And it is in those quiet moments that the secret battle often becomes the loudest. I know about that battle. I know the questions that keep returning even after you thought you had moved past them. I know the worries that visit you when you are trying to rest. I know the memories that still have the power to sting. I know the doubts that whisper when you are attempting to move forward. My beloved child, I have been with you through every one of those moments. Perhaps your battle is fear. Fear of failing. Fear of being disappointed again. Fear of trusting and being hurt. Fear that things may never change. Or perhaps your battle is doubt. Doubt in yourself. Doubt in your future. Doubt that you are capable of what lies ahead. Doubt that your efforts will ever produce the results you hope for. For some, the battle is regret, a constant replaying of old decisions, a wish that certain words had never been spoken, a longing to return to moments that cannot be changed. For others, it is loneliness, the feeling of standing in a crowded room while still feeling unseen, the feeling that nobody fully understands the weight you carry, the feeling that your deepest struggles must remain hidden because you fear being misunderstood. Whatever form your battle takes, I want you to know something important. The struggle itself does not define you. The thoughts that pass through your mind do not define you. The fears that visit you do not define you. You are far greater than the battle you are facing. Imagine a ship crossing a vast ocean during a storm. Powerful winds push against it. Waves crash against its sides. Dark clouds fill the sky. To someone watching from a distance, it may appear as though the storm controls the ship. But the storm is not the ship. The storm surrounds it. The storm challenges it. The storm tests it. Yet the ship remains something entirely separate from the storm itself. My beloved child, do not confuse your struggles with your identity. You are not your fear. You are not your anxiety. You are not your doubt. You are not your worst day. You are not your deepest wound. You are my beloved child. And that truth remains unchanged no matter what battle is taking place around you. One of the greatest lies fear tells is that you are alone. Fear wants you to believe that nobody understands. Fear wants you to believe that your situation is unique and hopeless. Fear wants you to convince yourself that there is no way forward. But fear does not tell the truth. The truth is that I have never left you. Even during the nights when sleep escaped you. Even during the mornings when you struggled to find motivation. Even during the moments when tears filled your eyes. Even during the seasons when you questioned everything. I was there, not watching from a distance, not observing without concern, but walking beside you, holding you together in ways you did not even recognize. There were days when you thought your strength had run out, yet somehow you kept moving forward. There were moments when you believed you could not endure one more challenge, yet you did. Do you know why? Because my strength was quietly supporting you. You thought you were surviving on your own, but I was carrying more of the weight than you realized. My beloved child, the battle you are facing is not proof that you are weak. In many ways, it is proof of how far you have already come. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still seeking. You are still moving forward, even if the progress feels slow. That matters more than you know. And now I want you to stop measuring yourself by how perfectly you perform. Stop believing that courage means never feeling afraid. True courage is continuing to walk forward even when fear is present. True faith is continuing to trust even when answers have not yet arrived. True strength is refusing to surrender when circumstances tell you to quit. This strength is already growing inside you. And soon, you will begin to understand that the very pain you wish had never happened has been teaching you lessons that comfort never could. Hidden within your struggles are treasures you have not yet discovered. Hidden within your wounds are seeds of wisdom that are preparing you for what comes next. And that, my beloved child, is what I want to reveal to you now. My beloved child, if you could erase every painful chapter from your life, would you? At first, your answer might be yes. You might think of the heartbreaks you never wanted to experience, the disappointments that left scars on your heart, the seasons of waiting that seemed endless, the betrayals, the losses, the moments when life felt unfair and confusing. You may look back at those experiences and wonder why they were necessary. You may still ask why certain prayers were not answered the way you hoped. You may still question why some storms lasted as long as they did. And yet, my beloved child, I want to show you something important. Your pain has not only been hurting you, it has also been teaching you. This does not mean I delight in your suffering. It does not mean I wanted you to live in pain. But it does mean that even in your hardest seasons, I have been working to bring wisdom, strength, and growth from experiences that seemed meaningless at the time. Think about a piece of gold hidden deep within the earth. Before it shines, it must pass through fire. Before its beauty is revealed, impurities must be removed. The process is not pleasant, but the result is valuable. In much the same way, some of the greatest qualities within you have been formed during difficult seasons. The compassion you now have for others was often born from your own wounds. The patience you carry was developed through waiting. The wisdom you possess came through mistakes, lessons, and experiences you never would have chosen. The strength you demonstrate today was forged during moments when you thought you could not go on. My beloved child, pain has a way of revealing what comfort often hides. When life is easy, people rarely examine the condition of their hearts. When everything goes according to plan, they often assume they need no guidance. But challenges have a way of uncovering deeper truths. Challenges reveal where trust is needed. Challenges expose fears that need healing. Challenges show strength you never knew existed. There is a story about a young tree growing in a sheltered valley. Because it was protected from strong winds, it grew quickly. Its branches spread wide, and it appeared healthy from the outside. Nearby stood another tree on a windy hillside. Day after day, powerful winds pushed against it. Storms bent its branches. Harsh weather tested its endurance. Years later, a great storm arrived. The tree in the valley, which had never faced resistance, was uprooted. But the tree on the hillside remained standing. Why? Because every storm it had endured forced its roots to grow deeper. My beloved child, some of your deepest roots were formed during seasons you wished would end. The challenges you faced were strengthening you in ways you could not see at the time. There are lessons you understand today because of what you survived yesterday. You understand the value of kindness because you know what it feels like to be wounded. You appreciate moments of peace because you have experienced chaos. You treasure genuine relationships because you have known disappointment. You recognize my faithfulness because you have walked through situations that should have broken you. Yet somehow you are still here. And that is not an accident. I have been teaching you even when you thought nothing was happening. I have been shaping you even when you felt forgotten. I have been preparing you even when you believed you were simply enduring another difficult season. Sometimes the lesson is not visible immediately. Sometimes years pass before understanding arrives. But eventually, many people discover that the very experiences they would have removed from their lives became the experiences that prepared them for their purpose. My beloved child, there are people you will one day encourage because of what you have endured. There are lives you will touch because you understand struggles others cannot. There are conversations you will have where your pain becomes someone else's source of hope. The wounds that once made you question everything may eventually become the very reason another person believes they can keep going. That is how I work. I bring beauty from ashes. I bring wisdom from hardship. I bring purpose from pain. But there is another lesson your struggles have been teaching you. They have been teaching you that your strength does not come from having complete control. For a long time, you may have believed that peace would arrive once every problem was solved. Yet life has shown you something different. Peace is not found in controlling everything. Peace is found in trusting me even when everything is not under your control. That lesson is precious. That lesson is life-changing. And it is preparing you for what comes next. Because while pain has been teaching you many things, there are also seeds you planted during those difficult seasons that you may have forgotten about. Acts of faithfulness, prayers, sacrifices, and moments of obedience that seemed unnoticed. But nothing you have done has escaped my attention. For what you thought was forgotten is very much remembered, my beloved child, and the time is coming for you to see why. My beloved child, there have been moments when you wondered if anything you did truly mattered. You prayed, but the answer seemed delayed. You gave your best effort, but the recognition never came. You remained faithful during difficult seasons, yet your circumstances appeared unchanged. You chose kindness when others chose selfishness. You extended grace when bitterness would have been easier. You continued moving forward when everything inside you wanted to quit. And after a while, a quiet question may have begun to form within your heart. Did any of it make a difference? My beloved child, I want to answer that question today. Yes, every act of faithfulness mattered. Every prayer mattered. Every sacrifice mattered. Every moment you chose hope instead of despair mattered. Nothing had been forgotten. There is a law woven into creation that speaks of a deeper truth. A farmer does not place a seed into the ground and expect a harvest the next morning. The seed disappears beneath the soil. Days pass, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. To the untrained eye, it may appear that nothing is happening. The field looks unchanged. The ground remains quiet. There are no visible signs of growth. But beneath the surface, life is already at work. Roots are forming. Growth has begun. The process is unfolding in hidden places. My beloved child, many of the seeds you planted have been growing beneath the surface. The problem is not that nothing happened. The problem is that you expected visible evidence before the appointed time. I understand why. You live in a world that often celebrates immediate results. You are taught to measure success by what can be seen. But many of my greatest works begin in places invisible to human eyes. Think about the prayers you whispered when nobody else was listening. The prayers spoken through tears. The prayers offered during uncertainty. The prayers you thought had gone unanswered. I heard every one of them. Not a single word was lost. Not a single cry escaped my attention. Not a single moment of faith was ignored. Sometimes when answers do not arrive quickly, people assume they have been forgotten. But my beloved child, delay is not abandonment. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection. Many things require preparation before they can be revealed. Imagine a builder constructing a great house. Before walls rise above the ground, work must first be completed beneath the surface. Foundations must be laid. Strength must be established. Stability must be secured. Those passing by may see little progress. Yet the most important work is already taking place. The same is true in your life. There are blessings that required preparation. There are opportunities that required timing. There are answers that required growth within you before they could safely arrive. You have been measuring progress by what you could see. Meanwhile, I have been working in places you could not. And there is something else I want you to remember. Not all seeds produce the same harvest. Some seeds bring opportunities. Some seeds bring wisdom. Some seeds bring relationships. Some seeds bring healing. Some seeds bring strength. You may have expected one outcome while I was preparing something even greater. Many times, people focus so intensely on one specific answer that they miss the broader work I am accomplishing. My beloved child, I have not forgotten your faithfulness. I have seen the times you chose integrity when nobody would have known otherwise. I have seen the times you gave without receiving anything in return. I have seen the moments when you encouraged others while carrying your own burdens. I have seen your quiet obedience. I have seen your perseverance. I have seen your trust. And I want you to know that heaven keeps a perfect record. The world may overlook your efforts. People may fail to appreciate your sacrifices. Others may never fully understand what it cost you to remain faithful. But I know, I remember, and I honor what was done with a sincere heart. There is a story of a gardener who planted an orchard. Year after year, he watered young trees that produced little visible fruit. Neighbors questioned his efforts. Some even mocked his patience. But the gardener understood something they did not. The years of hidden growth were not wasted years. They were necessary years. The roots were deepening. The trees were strengthening. The future harvest was being prepared. In one season, everything changed. The orchard that once seemed barren became abundant. What looked unproductive suddenly revealed years of unseen preparation. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where unseen preparation has been taking place. Do not confuse hidden growth with lack of progress. Do not mistake waiting for failure. Do not assume that because something has not appeared yet, it never will. Some of the very things you have been praying about are closer than you realize. And that is why you must be careful not to surrender now. Because many people walk away just before the harvest begins. Many people stop believing just before the breakthrough arrives. Many people abandon the field while the seeds are preparing to emerge. But you, my beloved child, must not give up. For there is a reason the pressure has increased recently. There is a reason the temptation to quit has become stronger. You are standing closer to a breakthrough than you know. And that is exactly why I need to speak to you about perseverance next. My beloved child, if there is one thing I need you to hear in this moment, it is this. Do not give up now. Not today. Not this week. Not in this season. I know you are tired. I know there have been days when continuing felt harder than stopping. I know there have been moments when the weight of disappointment seemed greater than your remaining strength. I know there have been times when you questioned whether your efforts were accomplishing anything at all. But my beloved child, you are closer than you realize. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that progress can only be measured by visible results. When they cannot see immediate change, they assume nothing is happening. When answers take longer than expected, they conclude that their efforts have been wasted. When challenges continue, they believe they must be moving in the wrong direction. But that is not always true. In fact, some of the most important moments occur just before a breakthrough becomes visible. Think about the dawn. The darkest part of the night often comes shortly before the first light appears on the horizon. If someone judged the situation only by what they could see in that final hour of darkness, they might conclude that morning would never come. Yet the sunrise is already on its way. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where the sunrise is closer than you think. The reason this season has felt so difficult is not because I have abandoned you. The reason the pressure has increased is not because your future is disappearing. The reason the battle feels intense is because something valuable is being protected, prepared, and positioned. A runner nearing the finish line often feels exhaustion more intensely than at the beginning of the race. The body grows tired. The muscles ache. The temptation to stop becomes stronger. But the finish line is not a signal to quit. It is a reason to keep moving. You have come too far to stop now. Look at everything you have already survived. The disappointments that should have broken you. The losses that shook your world. The fears you face. The battles you never expected to fight. The seasons when you felt completely overwhelmed. Yet here you are. Still standing. Still breathing. Still moving forward. It alone is evidence of strength. Sometimes you focus so much on what remains unfinished that you forget how much progress has already been made. You are not the same person you were a year ago. You are not the same person you were before the storms. The challenges you faced have changed you. You have grown wiser. You have become stronger. You have developed resilience that could only be formed through experience. Even when you feel weak, growth has been taking place. My beloved child, discouragement has a way of narrowing your vision. It causes you to focus only on obstacles. It magnifies every setback. It whispers that your situation will never improve. But discouragement is a poor guide. It speaks from temporary emotions rather than lasting truth. The truth is that your story is still being written. The truth is that the chapter you are living in is not the final chapter. The truth is that what feels permanent today may look entirely different tomorrow. Imagine a sculptor working on a block of stone. To someone watching halfway through the process, the stone may appear damaged. Pieces are being chipped away. The original shape is disappearing. It may even seem as though the sculptor is ruining it. But the sculptor sees something others cannot. He sees the finished masterpiece hidden inside. Every strike of the hammer serves a purpose. Every removed piece contributes to the final design. My beloved child, I see what is being formed within you. I see the strength developing beneath the surface. I see the wisdom being cultivated. I see the character being refined. I see the future that is still hidden from your view. And because I see it, I can tell you with confidence, this is not the time to quit. This is the time to trust. Trust when answers are delayed. Trust when progress feels slow. Trust when circumstances seem unclear. Trust when your emotions tell you otherwise. Not because everything is easy, but because I am still guiding you. There is a reason I brought you this far. There is a reason you survived what you survived. There is a reason you are hearing these words right now. You are not standing at the edge of defeat. You are standing in a season of preparation. And preparation often feels difficult because it is creating capacity for what comes next. My beloved child, hold on a little longer. Take one more step. Pray one more prayer. Believe one more time. Trust me one more day. For what you have been asking for, what you have been wondering about, and what you have been waiting to hear may be closer than you think. In fact, the confirmation you have been seeking, the sign you have quietly asked me for in the depths of your heart, is something I want to speak about next. Because there is a reason this message found you at this exact moment, and it is not a coincidence. My beloved child, there is something you have been asking me for, perhaps without even realizing how often you have asked it. You have asked for a sign, not necessarily with those exact words. Sometimes it sounded like, God, show me what to do. Sometimes it sounded like, please let me know I'm not alone. Sometimes it was simply a quiet cry from your heart saying, I need reassurance. You have been looking for confirmation, a reason to keep believing, a reason to trust, a reason to continue moving forward when circumstances have seemed uncertain. And today, I want you to listen carefully. This message itself is part of the answer. No, it is not because every word here contains some secret prediction about your future. It is because I know exactly what your heart has needed in this season. You asked for encouragement. I brought you here. You asked for direction. I am speaking to you now. You asked whether I still see you. I have spent these moments reminding you that I do. My beloved child, signs do not always arrive as dramatic events. They expect impossible circumstances. They expect extraordinary experiences. Yet often, my guidance comes through quiet moments of clarity, a conversation at the right time, a message that speaks directly to a hidden struggle, a sudden peace where fear once lived, a reminder that reaches your heart precisely when you need it most. That is because my goal is not simply to impress you. My goal is to guide you. Imagine a traveler walking through unfamiliar territory at night. The traveler hopes for a giant spotlight that illuminates the entire journey. Instead, he receives a lantern. At first, the lantern seems insufficient. It only reveals a few steps ahead. But those few steps are exactly what the traveler needs. The lantern provides enough light for the next part of the journey. And with every step forward, more of the path becomes visible. My beloved child, many times you have been asking me for the entire map while I have been offering you the next step. Not because I wish to withhold anything from you, but because trust grows one step at a time. If I revealed every detail of your future today, you might rely on information instead of relying on me. And I desire a deeper relationship than that. I want you to know my heart. I want you to recognize my presence. I want you to trust my guidance even when the full picture remains unseen. That is why I am reminding you now. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. The uncertainty you feel is temporary. The questions you carry will not remain unanswered forever. The road ahead may still contain mysteries, but it is not without direction. I am with you. I have been with you. And I will continue to be with you. So if you have been asking for a sign that I still care, here it is. I care. If you have been asking for a sign that your prayers matter, here it is. They matter. If you have been asking whether your future still contains hope, here it is. Hope remains alive. And if you have been asking whether you should keep going, here is my answer. Yes. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep taking the next step. Because I am not finished writing your story. My beloved child, before we continue, I want to speak to those whose hearts have been touched by this message. As I speak words of hope into lives around the world, every act of support becomes a seed planted into a harvest of encouragement for souls who are searching for light. Just as a single lamp can brighten a dark room, your support through Super Thanks channel membership, where the PayPal donation link in the description and QR code helps this message reach hearts that are crying out for hope. My word declares, give, and it shall be given unto you. And today I speak that promise over you as a living invitation. I am calling you to become part of this work of spreading comfort, healing, and faith. Every seed sown helps rivers of encouragement flow into places where despair has tried to settle. Do not see your support as a donation. See it as a prophetic act of faith that helps carry my light farther than you can imagine. As you give, may doors of provision open before you, may peace rest upon your home, and may blessings pursue you in unexpected ways. Let your generosity become a testimony of trust. Let your seed become part of a greater harvest. Act now through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link, and help my message reach the hearts that are waiting for it. And now, my beloved child, let us continue. For while you have been seeking signs from me, there is another truth you need to understand. Much of what I am doing in your life has been happening behind scenes you cannot see. What appears silent is not inactive. What appears delayed is not forgotten. And what I am preparing for you is already beginning to move into place. My beloved child, one of the hardest things for the human heart is waiting when it cannot see what is happening. You are willing to trust when progress is visible. You are willing to believe when evidence appears. You are willing to move forward when results can be measured. But what about the seasons when nothing seems to be changing? What about the moments when prayers appear unanswered? What about the days when silence feels louder than any response? Those are the moments that test your trust. Those are the moments when fear begins to whisper that nothing is happening. Those are the moments when discouragement tries to convince you that you have been forgotten. But my beloved child, I need you to understand something today. Just because you cannot see my work does not mean my work has stopped. I am working behind closed curtains. Imagine sitting in a theater before a great performance begins. The curtain remains closed. From your seat, there appears to be very little activity. The stage is hidden. The actors are unseen. The preparations remain out of sight. To someone who only judges by what can be seen, it may appear that nothing is happening. Yet behind the curtain, everything is moving. The stage is being prepared. The lights are being positioned. The performers are taking their places. The story is getting ready to unfold. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where you are standing in front of a closed curtain. You look at your circumstances and see silence. I look at the same situation and see preparation. You see waiting. I see positioning. You see delay. I see development. You see uncertainty. I see a plan unfolding at precisely the right time. This is one of the reasons faith becomes so valuable. Faith allows you to trust my activity even when your eyes cannot confirm it. If you only believed when everything was visible, trust would never grow. But trust deepens when you choose to believe that I am still moving, even during the quiet seasons. Think back over your own life. How many times did events eventually make sense that once seemed confusing? How many disappointments later revealed hidden blessings? How many delays protected you from rushing into something that was not right for you? How many closed doors eventually led to better opportunities? At the time, you could not see what I was doing. Only later did understanding arrive. My beloved child, the same principle is working in your life right now. There are conversations taking place that you know nothing about. There are opportunities being prepared that have not yet appeared. There are people moving toward your life who will play important roles in future chapters. There are lessons taking root within your heart that will soon become sources of strength. And there are prayers being answered in ways you have not yet recognized. You often imagine that answers must arrive exactly as requested. But sometimes I answer by changing circumstances. Sometimes I answer by changing timing. Sometimes I answer by changing direction. And sometimes I answer by changing you. The answer may not always look like what you expected. Yet my wisdom sees farther than your current perspective. A child watching a master builder construct a cathedral may become impatient. The child sees piles of stone and months of labor. The structure appears unfinished. Progress seems slow. But the builder sees the completed design long before anyone else does. Every stone has a purpose. Every delay has a reason. Every stage serves the final vision. My beloved child, I am building things in your life that require patience. I am creating foundations strong enough to support future blessings. I am preparing you for things you have prayed for, even when you cannot yet see the preparation taking place. That is why you must not interpret silence as abandonment. Silence is not proof that I have left. Silence is often where some of my greatest work occurs. Seeds grow silently. Roots grow silently. Character develops silently. Wisdom grows silently. Many of life's most important transformations happen without announcement. And because they happen quietly, people often miss them until the results become visible. But I see them. I see the growth occurring inside you. I see the healing unfolding beneath the surface. I see the courage developing through your challenges. I see the faith being strengthened through your waiting. Nothing is being wasted. Nothing is being ignored. Nothing is outside my care. So when fear tells you that nothing is changing, remember this moment. Remember that there are curtains you cannot see beyond. Remember that there are preparations happening beyond your current understanding. Remember that I am working even when you cannot trace every movement of my hand. For very soon, you will begin to notice another obstacle that has quietly tried to limit your progress. It is something many people carry without realizing its power. It disguises itself as caution, wisdom, or self-protection. Yet beneath the surface, it has often been holding you back from stepping fully into what I have prepared for you. My beloved child, next I want to speak to you about fear. My beloved child, there is something that has been standing quietly at the edge of your journey for a long time. It rarely announces itself loudly. It does not always appear as panic or terror. Sometimes it disguises itself as caution. Sometimes it calls itself wisdom. Sometimes it presents itself as realism. But beneath its many disguises, it is still the same thing: the fear. And whether you realize it or not, fear hath been trying to limit the life I am calling you into. I am not speaking about the healthy awareness that protects you from danger. I am speaking about the deeper fear that whispers to your heart when you stand at the edge of growth. A fear that says, what if I fail? A fear that says, what if I am not enough? The fear that says, what if I trust again and get hurt? The fear that says, what if nothing changes? The fear that says, what if I step forward and everything falls apart? My beloved child, I know those voices. I know how convincing they can sound. Fear often speaks with great confidence. It presents worst-case scenarios as if they are guaranteed outcomes. It takes temporary uncertainty and transforms it into permanent disaster. It shows you every possible thing that could go wrong while hiding the countless things that could go right. That is why fear is such a poor guide. Fear does not see clearly. Fear does not tell the whole story. Fear only focuses on danger while ignoring possibility. Imagine a young eagle standing at the edge of a cliff for the very first time. The sky stretches endlessly before it. The wind moves beneath its wings. Everything necessary for flight already exists. Yet the eagle hesitates. Why? Because from its perspective, stepping forward feels dangerous. Yet it looks frightening. The unknown feels overwhelming. Remaining where it is feels safer. But the eagle was never created to spend its life standing at the edge. It was created to fly. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where fear has convinced you to remain standing at the edge. You have delayed decisions. You have questioned your abilities. You have held back dreams. You have remained in places that no longer fit who you are becoming. Not because you lacked potential. Not because you lacked ability. But because fear made staying still feel safer than moving forward. Yet staying still is a cost. Every time fear makes your decisions, it quietly steals possibilities. It steals opportunities you were meant to explore. It steals experiences you were meant to have. It steals growth that can only come through action. I do not say this to condemn you. I say it because I want you to recognize what hath been happening. Many people spend years waiting for fear to disappear before taking a step of faith. But fear rarely leads first. Courage comes first. Faith comes first. The step comes first. And then fear begins to lose its power. Think about every major challenge you have already survived. There were times when you felt afraid before entering them. Afraid before difficult conversations. Afraid before important decisions. Afraid before uncertain seasons. Yet somehow you made it through. The very things you once feared are now chapters in your past. The storm that once seemed impossible to survive eventually became part of your testimony. The obstacle that once looked overwhelming eventually became something you overcame. What if some of your current fears will one day become the same? What if the challenge that intimidates you today will eventually become evidence of your growth? My beloved child, fear loves to make you underestimate yourself. But I see what fear cannot see. I see the strength that has been developing within you. I see the wisdom you have gained through experience. I see the resilience formed through past trials. I see the courage that continues to grow, even when you do not notice it. You are stronger than fear wants you to believe. You are more capable than doubt wants you to believe. You are more prepared than uncertainty wants you to believe. And most importantly, you are not walking alone. One of fear's greatest deceptions is convincing you that everything depends on your own ability. Fear says, what if you are not enough? But fear forgets something important. You do not walk forward by your strength alone. I walk with you. I guide you. I strengthen you. I provide wisdom when you need direction. I provide peace when you need calm. I provide courage when you need strength. It does not mean every step will be easy. It does not mean every outcome will unfold exactly as you imagine. But it does mean that you do not face the future alone. My beloved child, there is freedom waiting on the other side of fear. There is growth waiting on the other side of fear. There are blessings waiting on the other side of fear. The future I am preparing for you cannot be reached by standing still forever. At some point, trust must become action. At some point, faith must take a step. At some point, courage must rise. And as you begin to move beyond fear, there is something I want to remind you of next. There have already been moments in your life when you thought you would not make it through. Yet somehow, you did. Somehow, I carried you through seasons that should have broken you. And it is time for you to remember those moments, my beloved child. My beloved child, I want you to pause for a moment and look backward. Not to live in the past. Not to dwell on old wounds. But to remember. Because there are things you have forgotten that your heart needs to recall today. You have become so focused on the challenges in front of you that you have overlooked the evidence behind you. You have been looking at what still needs to happen while forgetting all that has already happened. You have been worrying about the next mountain while forgetting the mountains you have already climbed. My beloved child, remember the times I carried you. Remember the seasons when you thought you would never recover. Remember the moments when the future looked uncertain. Remember the nights when you cried yourself to sleep. Remember the days when fear seemed stronger than faith. Remember the situations that convinced you there was no way forward. Now look at where you are. You survived them. Not because you were always strong. Not because you always had the answers. Not because you never struggled. You survived because I carried you. There were moments when you believed you were holding yourself together, but the truth is that my hand was supporting you in ways you could not see. Imagine a child falling asleep in a father's arms during a long journey. The child knows nothing about the roads traveled, the obstacles avoided, or the distance covered. The child simply rests. Hours later, the child wakes up in a safe place and wonders how they arrived there. My beloved child, there have been seasons when I carried you much like that. You were exhausted. You were overwhelmed. You were uncertain. Yet somehow, you arrived at the other side. Somehow, you kept moving forward. Somehow, you endured. You may call it resilience. You may call it determination. But I want you to recognize something deeper. I was with you. I was strengthening you when your own strength was running low. I was comforting you when nobody else understood. I was creating paths where none seemed to exist. I was opening doors you did not know were there. I was protecting you from dangers you never even saw. There are countless moments in your life where my protection went unnoticed. Opportunities that seemed perfect but would have harmed you later. Relationships that appeared promising but would have wounded your spirit. Decisions you almost made that would have taken you far from the path meant for you. You saw disappointment. I saw protection. You saw loss. I saw preservation. You saw confusion. I saw a future you could not yet understand. My beloved child, memory is powerful. Not because it allows you to relive the past, but because it reminds you of my faithfulness. When fear begins to tell you that your current challenge is impossible, memory answers back. Memory reminds you that there were other challenges you once thought were impossible too. When doubt says, "You will not make it through this," memory whispers, "You have already survived so much." When anxiety says, "Everything is falling apart," memory points to the countless times things eventually came together. This is why I want you to remember. Not selectively. Not only the painful parts. Remember the victories too. Remember the prayers that were answered. Remember the moments when unexpected help arrived. Remember the doors that opened at exactly the right time. Remember the peace that came when circumstances should have overwhelmed you. Remember the strength that appeared when you thought you had none left. Those moments matter. They are not random events scattered throughout your life. They are evidence. Evidence that I have been present. Evidence that I have been guiding you. Evidence that I have been carrying you. There is a story of a traveler crossing a desert. During the journey, he constantly worried about whether he would have enough water for tomorrow. Day after day, fear consumed his thoughts. Then one evening he stopped and looked behind him. Stretching across the sand was a long trail of footprints. Suddenly he realized something. Every day he had feared running out, yet every day it had somehow been provided for. The evidence had been behind him all along. My beloved child, there are footprints behind you too. Footprints of provision. Footprints of protection. Footprints of guidance. Footprints of grace. Every one of them tells the same story. You were never alone. And if I carried you through those seasons, why would I abandon you now? If I guided you through yesterday's storms, why would I leave you in today's storm? If I remained faithful through past chapters, why would my faithfulness suddenly end? The answer is simple. It will not. I am the same loving Father who carried you then. I am the same loving Father speaking to you now. I am the same loving Father who will guide you tomorrow. So when fear rises again, remember. When doubt returns, remember. When uncertainty grows loud, remember. Look behind you and see the evidence of my care. Because the truth is, my beloved child, there has never been a single moment when I abandoned you. Even during the seasons when you felt the most alone, my presence remained closer than you realized. And that is what I want to speak to you about next. My beloved child, there have been moments when you felt alone. Not just physically alone, but deeply, painfully alone. The kind of loneliness that cannot always be solved by being around people. The kind of loneliness that settles quietly into the heart, the kind that makes you wonder whether anyone truly understands what you are carrying. Perhaps there were seasons when the people you expected to stay walked away. Perhaps there were times when those you trusted disappointed you. Perhaps there were prayers you offered that seemed to echo back in silence. And during those moments, a question may have formed inside you. Where was God? My beloved child, I am not offended by that question. I understand it, because pain often narrows your vision. When your heart is hurting, it becomes difficult to see beyond the immediate wound. When disappointment arrives, it can temporarily hide the evidence of my presence. When life feels unfair, it is easy to mistake silence for absence. But I want you to hear me clearly today. You were never abandoned. Not once. Not for a single moment. There were days when you felt forgotten. But you were not forgotten. There were nights when you felt unseen. But you were seen. There were seasons when you believed you were walking alone. But you were never alone. Imagine a child learning to walk. The father stands nearby, watching carefully. At times, the father allows the child to take a few steps independently. The child may feel distant for a moment. The child may even stumble. But the father's eyes never leave the child. The father's love never disappears. The father's presence never departs. Even when the child does not feel the father's hands, the father's attention remains constant. My beloved child, there were moments when you could not feel my hand, but my eyes never left you. I was there during every disappointment. I was there during every loss. I was there during every heartbreak. I was there during every unanswered question. I was there during every lonely night. And I was there during every silent tear. You may not have sensed my presence because you expected it to appear in a certain way. Many people expect my presence to feel dramatic. They expect overwhelming emotions. They expect unmistakable signs. Yet often, my presence is quiet. It is the strength that appears when you thought you had none left. It is the peace that arrives without explanation. It is the comfort that gently carries you through another day. It is the hope that refuses to die, even in difficult circumstances. That was me, even when you did not recognize it. Think about the times you should have completely fallen apart. The moments when the weight was always too much to bear. The situations that seemed impossible to survive. Yet somehow, you endured. Somehow, you found enough strength for one more day. Somehow, you kept moving forward. That was not an accident. That was my sustaining presence. My beloved child, one of the enemy's greatest strategies is convincing people that they have been abandoned. Because when someone believes they are alone, fear grows stronger. Doubt grows louder. Hopelessness gains ground. But the lie only works if it is believed. And today, I want to break that lie. You have never walked through a single valley without me. You have never faced a single storm without me. You have never cried a single tear without me noticing. You have never carried a burden without me caring. Even now, while you listen to these words, my presence surrounds you. Not because your circumstances are perfect, not because every question has been answered, but because my love does not depend on circumstances. My love remains. The world changes. People change. Seasons change. Emotions change. But my love remains. There is a reason I continue calling you my beloved child throughout this journey. It is because that is how I see you. Not as a problem to be solved. Not as a disappointment. Not as a failure. Not as someone who must earn my affection. You are my beloved child. And my love for you is not based on your performance. It is not based on your success. It is not based on your perfection. It is based on who I am. A loving Father, a faithful Father, a Father who stays, a Father who remains, a Father who never abandons his child. So when loneliness whispers again, remember this truth. When circumstances make you feel isolated, remember this truth. When silence tries to convince you that nobody cares, remember this truth. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And you never will be. Because I am closer than your fears realize. Closer than your doubts understand. Closer than your circumstances suggest. And now, my beloved child, I want to reveal something beautiful. While you have been focused on surviving, something else has already begun. Deep within your heart, in places you may not even recognize yet, healing has started. The restoration you have been longing for is not merely coming someday. In many ways, it has already begun. My beloved child, for a long time you have been waiting for a moment when everything would suddenly feel better. You have imagined healing as a dramatic event. A single day when all pain disappears. A single moment when every wound is instantly restored. A single breakthrough that erases every scar from the past. And while I am certainly capable of sudden miracles, I want to reveal something beautiful to you today. Much of the healing you have been praying for has already begun. You simply have not recognized all of it yet. Healing is not always loud. It is often quiet. It happens in hidden places. It unfolds gradually. It grows beneath the surface long before it becomes visible. Think about a broken bone. The moment healing begins is not the moment the person feels fully restored. In fact, the healing process starts long before strength returns. Beneath the surface, the body begins repairing what was damaged. Day by day, restoration takes place. At first, the progress is difficult to see, yet healing is happening. My beloved child, that is exactly what has been occurring within you. There are wounds that no longer hurt the way they once did. There are memories that no longer control you the way they once did. There are fears that no longer possess the same power they once held. There are situations that would have crushed you years ago but now find you standing stronger. These changes did not happen by accident. They are evidence of healing. You may still feel pain from time to time. You may still remember difficult experiences. You may still have moments when old emotions resurface. But do not mistake occasional pain for a lack of progress. A scar can remain even after healing has taken place. The presence of a scar does not mean the wound is still open. In the same way, some memories remain, but they no longer define your future. Some experiences are remembered, but they no longer own your identity. Some wounds still leave marks, but they no longer determine your destiny. My beloved child, I have been healing parts of your heart while you were focused on simply surviving. I have been restoring strength while you thought you were merely enduring. I have been rebuilding confidence while you believed you were only getting through another day. You see the remaining pain. I see the progress. You notice what still needs healing. I notice how far you have already come. Imagine a garden that suffered through a harsh winter. The flowers disappeared. The trees looked lifeless. The ground seemed barren. To an untrained eye, it would appear that everything was lost. Yet beneath the soil, life remained. The roots were still there. The preparation for spring had already begun. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, signs of new life emerged. A garden did not transform overnight. It awakened gradually. My beloved child, your heart has been awakening in much the same way. The winter season has not lasted forever. The restoration has already started. The hope you feel returning is part of the healing. The peace that occasionally surprises you is part of the healing. The courage that appears when challenges arise is part of the healing. Even your desire to move forward is part of the healing. There was a time when you questioned whether you would ever recover from certain experiences. You wondered whether the pain would always remain this heavy. You wondered whether joy would ever feel genuine again. You wondered whether trust could ever be rebuilt. And yet here you are, still standing, still believing, still hoping, still growing. That is not weakness. That is healing. My beloved child, one of the reasons healing sometimes feels slow is because I care about more than symptoms. I care about roots. A gardener who only trims damaged leaves without caring for the roots solves nothing. In the same way, I do not merely want to ease temporary discomfort. I want to bring lasting restoration. I want to heal the places where fear took root. I want to restore the places where disappointment settled. I want to strengthen the areas where trust was wounded. That kind of healing takes time, but it is worth every moment. Because when healing reaches the roots, the entire life begins to change. The future begins to look different. Relationships begin to look different. Decisions begin to look different. Hope begins to feel natural again. And that is exactly what I am doing in you. Even now. Even today. Even while you listen to these words. So stop measuring your progress by perfection. Stop expecting yourself to be completely healed before moving forward. Stop believing that every difficult emotion means you are back at the beginning. You are not at the beginning. You are in the process. And the process is working. My beloved child, the healing has already begun. And because healing is making room for new possibilities, I want you to lift your eyes toward the horizon. There is a chapter approaching that is different from the one you have been living. A chapter filled with new opportunities, new growth, and new beginnings. The new season is closer than you think. My beloved child, there comes a moment in every journey when the scenery begins to change. At first, the changes are subtle, almost unnoticeable. A shift in perspective, a new desire growing inside the heart, an old season losing its grip, a quiet sense that life is preparing to move in a different direction. You may be standing in that moment right now. Perhaps you cannot fully explain it. Perhaps you only sense it. But deep within, something is telling you that the chapter you have been living is not the chapter you will remain in forever. And that feeling is not misplaced, because the new chapter is closer than you think. For so long, you have been focused on surviving. You have been navigating challenges. You have been carrying responsibilities. You have been healing from disappointments. You have been learning lessons through seasons that tested your strength. And while all of that was necessary, it was never meant to be your permanent destination. Preparation is not the destination. Healing is not the destination. Waiting is not the destination. They are chapters within the journey. But the story continues beyond them. My beloved child, I know there have been times when it felt as though life was standing still. Days that looked the same. Weeks that felt repetitive. Months when progress seemed difficult to measure. Yet while you were focused on the visible circumstances, I was preparing things beneath the surface. A builder spends a great deal of time preparing before the doors of a new home are ever open. Plans are drawn. Foundations are laid. Materials are gathered. Work is completed behind walls that others cannot see. Only later does the finished structure become visible. In the same way, much of your preparation hath been happening in hidden places. Your character has been growing. Your wisdom has been increasing. Your faith has been deepening. Your heart has been healing. And now those preparations are beginning to make room for something new. The mistake many people make is expecting a new chapter to arrive with trumpets and announcements. Sometimes it does. But often, a new season begins quietly. It begins with a decision, a conversation, an opportunity, a new perspective, a door opening where none existed before. The change may appear small in the beginning, but its impact grows over time. Imagine standing beside a river at dawn. In the early morning light, the water seems calm. The movement is gentle. It would be easy to overlook how much is happening. Yet hour after hour, the river continues flowing, and eventually it reaches places far beyond where it began. My beloved child, your life is moving forward even when the movement feels slow. The new chapter does not require dramatic speed. It requires steady progress. There may still be moments of uncertainty ahead. There may still be lessons to learn. There may still be challenges to overcome. But challenges in a new chapter are not the same as being trapped in an old one. You are no longer who you were when this journey began. You have gained experience. You have gained understanding. You have gained strength. Most importantly, you have gained a deeper awareness of my presence. The version of you entering this next season is stronger than the version of you that entered the last one. That matters. My beloved child, sometimes people become so accustomed to struggle that they fear what comes after it. They learn how to survive difficult seasons, but they struggle to imagine themselves thriving. They become comfortable carrying burdens and uncertain about laying them down. But I do not want you to fear the blessings I am preparing. I do not want you to distrust the opportunities that are coming. I do not want you to remain anchored to old disappointments when new possibilities are appearing on the horizon. Lift your eyes. There is more ahead of you than behind you. There is still purpose waiting to unfold. There is still joy waiting to be experienced. There are still people waiting to meet you. There are still dreams waiting to awaken. There are still prayers waiting to reveal their answers. Do not allow the memory of past pain to convince you that the future must look the same. The future is not required to repeat the past. A new chapter means new possibilities. A new chapter means new growth. A new chapter means new opportunities for faith, joy, and purpose. And although you may not yet see every detail, you do not need to. You only need to trust the author of the story. Trust that I know where the path leads. Trust that I know what you need. Trust that I know the right timing. The chapter ahead is closer than it appears. And as you move toward it, there is something I will ask of you. Some things cannot travel with you into the future I am preparing. Certain burdens, regrets, and attachments belong to seasons that are ending. If you are to fully embrace what comes next, my beloved child, you must learn how to release what no longer serves you. My beloved child, there are times when moving forward is not primarily about gaining something new. Sometimes it is about releasing something old. You have spent much of this journey asking me what is coming next. You have wondered about the doors that will open, the blessings that will arrive, the opportunities that will appear. And those questions are understandable. But today I want to ask you a different question. What are you still carrying that belongs to a season that has already ended? Take a moment and think about that. Because many people pray for new beginnings while holding tightly to old burdens. They ask for peace while refusing to release past hurts. They seek freedom while continuing to carry chains that no longer need to remain attached to them. They long for a new chapter while reading the same painful page over and over again. My beloved child, some things cannot follow you where I am leading you. Not because I am punishing you, not because those things were never important, but because they have completed their purpose. A traveler preparing for a long journey carefully chooses what to carry. Every item has weight. Every possession requires energy. If the traveler insists on carrying unnecessary baggage, the journey becomes harder than it needs to be. The problem is not the road. The problem is the weight. My beloved child, some of the exhaustion you feel comes from carrying emotional baggage that was never meant to stay with you forever. Perhaps it is regret, the constant replaying of past mistakes, the endless wondering about what could have been done differently, the desire to rewrite chapters that have already been written. I understand that regret feels powerful, but regret cannot change yesterday. It can only steal today's peace. Learn from the past, but do not live there. There is a difference. Perhaps what you are carrying is resentment. Someone hurt you. Someone betrayed your trust. Someone disappointed you deeply. And while the wound was real, the burden of carrying bitterness has become heavier than the original injury. My beloved child, forgiveness does not mean pretending the pain never happened. Forgiveness does not mean calling wrong actions right. Forgiveness means refusing to allow yesterday's wound to continue controlling today's life. It is the decision to place justice in my hands rather than carrying it yourself forever. Perhaps what you are carrying is fear. Fear born from previous disappointments. Fear created by old failures. Fear that whispers, "Do not trust again. Do not hope again. Do not try again." But if you allow old fear to control future decisions, then the past continues ruling your life long after the event itself has ended. I do not want that for you. Imagine a tree holding tightly to every leaf from every season. The old leaves remain attached year after year. New growth struggles to emerge because the tree refuses to release what no longer belongs. Eventually, what should have been a season of growth becomes a season of stagnation. Why? Because new life requires space. My beloved child, new growth in your life requires space too. Space for peace. Space for hope. Space for fresh opportunities. Space for new relationships. Space for new perspectives. And that space is often created by letting go. I know letting go is not easy. There are things you have carried for so long that they feel like part of your identity. There are hurts that became familiar companions. There are fears that became habits. There are disappointments that shaped your expectations. But familiar does not always mean healthy. And comfortable does not always mean beneficial. Sometimes healing begins with a simple decision. A decision to stop carrying what I never asked you to carry. A decision to stop defining yourself by old wounds. A decision to stop measuring your future by past disappointments. A decision to trust that I can hold what you release. My beloved child, there is a beautiful freedom waiting on the other side of surrender. Not surrender to defeat. Surrender to peace. Surrender to trust. Surrender to the belief that I am capable of handling what you can no longer carry. You do not need to solve every unanswered question. You do not need to understand every painful memory. You do not need to force closure on every chapter. Some things can simply be placed in my hands. And when you do that, something remarkable begins to happen. Your heart grows lighter. Your vision becomes clearer. Your hope becomes stronger. Your future becomes easier to embrace. Because your energy is no longer being consumed by what belongs behind you. It is now available for what lies ahead. My beloved child, I am not asking you to forget your journey. I am asking you to stop dragging it behind you. Carry the wisdom. Carry the lessons. Carry the growth. But leave the unnecessary weight. The road ahead is too important to walk while burdened by everything from the past. And as you begin releasing what no longer serves you, there is something else I want you to rediscover. Deep within your heart may be a dream you almost gave up on, a hope you buried, a vision you stopped talking about. But I have not forgotten it, and neither should you. My beloved child, there is something hidden within your heart that I want to bring back into the light. It is not a fear. It is not a wound. It is not a burden. It is a dream that once filled you with excitement, a dream that once inspired your imagination, a dream that made you believe something beautiful was possible. But somewhere along the journey, that dream grew quiet. Perhaps life became complicated. Perhaps responsibilities increased. Perhaps disappointments accumulated. Perhaps time passed without the progress you expected. And little by little, what once felt alive began to fade into the background. You stopped talking about it. You stopped planning for it. You stopped expecting it. Eventually, you may have convinced yourself that it was time to let it go. Not because you wanted to, but because hoping felt too painful. My beloved child, I know the dream I am speaking about. I know the vision that still stirs when you allow yourself to imagine it. I know the purpose that still whispers beneath the noise of daily life. I know the desire that refuses to completely disappear no matter how hard you try to bury it. And today I want to tell you something important. I have not forgotten it. There's a difference between a dream being delayed and a dream being destroyed. Many people confuse the two. When progress takes longer than expected, they assume the dream is over. When obstacles appear, they conclude the vision was impossible. When life becomes difficult, they stop believing that what once seemed possible could ever become reality. But my beloved child, timing and termination are not the same thing. A seed planted in winter is not dead because it has not yet emerged. It is waiting, preparing, developing beneath the surface. The absence of visible growth does not mean life has disappeared. Imagine a musician carrying a beautiful instrument. For a season, the instrument remains untouched. Dust gathers. Silence fills the room. To an observer, it may appear forgotten. Yet the instrument still possesses its ability to create music. Its purpose has not vanished simply because it had been unused. All it needs is the right moment to be picked up again. My beloved child, some dreams in your life are like that instrument. Their purpose has not disappeared. Their potential has not vanished. Their value has not diminished. They have simply been waiting. I know there are reasons you became cautious. You experienced disappointments. You trusted plans that did not work out. You invested effort into things that failed. You watched opportunities disappear. Those experiences taught you to protect your heart. Let sometimes protection become limitation. Sometimes disappointment teaches people to stop dreaming altogether. And that is not what I desire for you. I did not create you merely to survive. I created you with purpose. I created you with gifts. I created you with unique possibilities that the world has not yet fully seen. Some of those possibilities are connected to dreams you nearly abandoned. And now listen carefully, my beloved child. I am not telling you that every dream will unfold exactly as you imagined. Sometimes dreams evolve. Sometimes they grow. Sometimes they take forms different from what you originally expected. But do not mistake transformation for failure. A caterpillar does not become what it was originally imagined to be. It becomes something even greater. The process changes the form while preserving the purpose. In the same way, some dreams in your life may be developing into something larger than your original vision. You only see the current stage. I see the completed picture. There were seasons when I asked you to wait, not because the dream lacked value, but because preparation was necessary. You needed growth. You needed wisdom. You needed experiences that would shape your character. You needed lessons that would prepare you to carry what you were asking for. Had everything arrived immediately, it might have overwhelmed you rather than blessed you. My beloved child, do not measure the future by your current circumstances. The conditions around you today do not determine what is possible tomorrow. The limitations you see now are not permanent. The obstacles you face now are not final. The story is still unfolding. The author is still writing. And the dream is not forgotten. To allow yourself to hope again. Allow yourself to imagine again. Allow yourself to believe again. Not because everything is certain, but because I am faithful. The same God who carried you through difficult seasons is fully capable of awakening purpose where discouragement tried to bury it. The same God who healed wounds is capable of restoring vision. The same God who preserved you through storms is capable of leading you into fulfillment. My beloved child, some dreams require patience before they bloom. And that brings us to something many people struggle to understand. The waiting season that frustrated you, challenged you, and tested your faith was not empty time. It was accomplishing far more than you realized. There was purpose in the waiting. My beloved child, if there is one season that challenges the human heart more than almost any other, it is the season of waiting. Few things test faith like waiting. Few things challenge trust like delay. Few things create more questions than watching time pass while answers seem slow to arrive. I know there were moments when you grew tired of waiting. Moments when you looked at your circumstances and wondered why progress seemed so slow. Moments when you questioned whether anything was changing at all. Moments when you compared your journey to the journeys of others and wondered why their path appeared faster than yours. And during those moments, it may have seemed as though waiting was simply wasted time. But my beloved child, I want you to understand something that can change the way you view your entire journey. Your waiting was not empty. Your waiting was necessary. The world often teaches people to value speed above all else. Faster results, faster success, faster answers, faster growth. But I do not measure life the way the world does. I measure readiness. Because receiving something before you are prepared for it can become a burden rather than a blessing. Imagine a young tree planted in fertile soil. If that tree suddenly grew to its full height in a single week, its roots would be unable to support it. The first strong wind would topple it, not because the tree lacked potential, but because the roots had not been given enough time to develop. Growth above the surface requiring growth beneath the surface first. My beloved child, much of your waiting has been root building. While you focused on what had not arrived yet, I was strengthening what would eventually support it. I was developing patience. I was deepening wisdom. I was strengthening character. I was teaching trust. I was preparing your heart. The truth is that many of the blessings you desire require a version of you that did not yet exist when you first prayed for them. You asked for greater opportunities. I began developing greater wisdom. You asked for a larger purpose. I began strengthening your character. You asked for new doors. I began preparing your heart to walk through them. At the time, the preparation felt like delay. But preparation and delay are not the same thing. A master builder does not rush the foundation of a great structure. A skilled farmer does not harvest before the crop is ready. A wise parent does not give a child responsibilities they are not yet prepared to handle. In the same way, I do not rush what requires development, because I care not only about giving you blessings, I care about helping you sustain them. My beloved child, there were lessons hidden within your waiting that could not have been learned any other way. Waiting taught you patience when impatience would have weakened you. Waiting taught you humility when pride would have misled you. Waiting taught you perseverance when comfort would have made you complacent. Waiting taught you to trust me even when visible evidence was limited. Those lessons are treasures. You may not have appreciated them while learning them, but one day you will see their value more clearly. Here is a story of a sculptor working on a magnificent piece of marble. Every day he chipped away at the stone. Day after day, progress seemed slow. Those passing by could not understand why it was taking so long. But the sculptor knew something they did not. Rushing the process would ruin the masterpiece. Patience was not delaying the beauty. Patience was creating it. My beloved child, there were areas of your life where patience was creating something beautiful. Even when you felt frustrated, even when you felt discouraged, even when you wondered whether anything was happening, growth was taking place. Strength was developing. Preparation was unfolding. And there is something else I want you to remember. The waiting season revealed how faithful you truly are. It is easy to trust when everything happens quickly. It is easy to believe when every prayer is answered immediately. But continuing to trust during uncertainty reveals a deeper kind of faith. A stronger kind of faith. The kind of faith that remains steady even when the path is not fully visible. That faith has been growing inside you, and it will serve you well in the chapters ahead, because the future I am preparing requires the strength that waiting has produced. It requires the wisdom that waiting has developed. It requires the maturity that waiting has cultivated. Nothing was wasted. Not the months, not the years, not the tears, not the questions, not the silence. Every part of it has been contributing to who you are becoming. So stop viewing your waiting season as lost time. It was training time. It was preparation time. It was growth time. It was necessary time. And now, my beloved child, after all the waiting, all the learning, and all the preparation, I want you to know something comforting. You do not have to face today relying only on yesterday's strength. New strength is available. Fresh grace is available. And I am ready to provide exactly what you need for this day. My beloved child, there is something I want you to stop doing. Stop trying to carry tomorrow before it arrives. Stop borrowing worries from the future. Stop exhausting yourself by fighting battles that have not yet appeared. I know why you do it. You want to be prepared. You want to protect yourself. You want certainty. You want to know that everything will be okay. But many times, while you are worrying about tomorrow's possibilities, you are overlooking the strength I am providing for today. And today is where your life is actually being lived. My beloved child, I have not asked you to carry next month's burdens today. I have not asked you to solve next year's problems this morning. I have not asked you to have answers for every question before taking the next step. I am simply asking you to walk with me today. There is a reason why the sun rises one day at a time. There is a reason why seasons unfold gradually. There is a reason why rivers flow moment by moment instead of all at once. Creation itself reflects a truth that many people struggle to accept. Life is lived one day at a time, and the strength I provide is often given one day at a time as well. Imagine a traveler crossing a vast desert. Each morning, the traveler receives enough water for the day's journey. Not enough for the entire expedition. Not enough for every future challenge. Just enough for the path immediately ahead. At first, the traveler may feel anxious. What about tomorrow? What about next week? What about the days ahead? But as the journey continues, the traveler discovers something remarkable. Every day, fresh water arrives. Every day, new provision appears. Every day, what is needed becomes available. My beloved child, this is how my grace often works. Fresh strength, fresh wisdom, fresh peace, fresh courage. Not always years in advance, but exactly when it is needed. You have already experienced this many times. There were days when you woke up unsure how you would continue. Days when your heart felt heavy. Days when challenges seemed larger than your remaining energy. Yet somehow you made it through. Not because you suddenly solved every problem. Not because all your questions disappeared. But because strength arrived for that day. I sustained you. I carried you. I strengthened you. And I am doing the same thing right now. The mistake many people make is measuring their current strength against future possibilities. They imagine every obstacle that might appear and then ask themselves whether they are strong enough to handle all of them. The answer often feels overwhelming because they are evaluating future battles using today's supply. But my beloved child, when future challenges arrive, future strength arrives too. You do not need tomorrow's strength today. You need today's strength today, and I am providing it. Here is a story of a lamp carried through a dark forest. The lamp does not illuminate the entire forest at once. It does not reveal every turn in the path. It simply provides enough light for the next few steps. Some travelers become frustrated by this. They want to see the entire route. But the lamp was never designed for that purpose. It was designed to guide the next step. My beloved child, the strength I provide often works in the same way. Enough for the next step. Enough for today's challenge. Enough for today's responsibility. Enough for today's decision. Enough for today's journey. And when tomorrow comes, there will be enough for tomorrow too. I know there are areas of your life that still concern you. Situations that remain unresolved. Questions that remain unanswered. Dreams that remain unfinished. I'm aware of every one of them. Nothing is hidden from me. Nothing is overlooked. Nothing is beyond my care. But do not allow concerns about tomorrow to rob you of the strength available today. Today contains blessings too. Today contains opportunities too. Today contains moments of grace too. Do not miss them while staring at distant horizons. My beloved child, strength is not always loud. Sometimes strength looks like getting out of bed when you would rather stay hidden. Sometimes strength looks like choosing hope after disappointment. Sometimes strength looks like praying one more prayer. Sometimes strength looks like taking one more step when the road feels long. Do not underestimate those victories. They matter. They reveal growth. They reveal faith. They reveal resilience. And they reveal my work within you. So when you wake tomorrow, do not ask whether you have enough strength for the rest of your life. Simply ask for strength for that day, and trust me to provide it. Because I will. I always have. And I always will. My beloved child, as I strengthen you for today, I am also preparing people who will walk beside you in the days ahead. Not every relationship in your life was meant to remain forever. But there are new connections, new friendships, and new companions being positioned along your path. And I want to tell you about them next. My beloved child, one of the greatest gifts I place along the journey of life is people. Not every blessing arrives in the form of an opportunity. Not every answer arrives in the form of a miracle. Sometimes the answer arrives in the form of a person, a voice of encouragement, a trusted friend, a wise mentor, a faithful companion, someone who appears at the right time and becomes part of a chapter that changes everything. I want you to understand something important today. You were never created to walk this journey entirely alone. Yes, there are seasons of solitude. There are moments when growth requires privacy. There are chapters when I draw you away from distractions so that your heart can heal and your faith can deepen. But isolation was never meant to become your permanent home. I created human hearts to experience connection, to give support, to receive support, to encourage and be encouraged, to love and be loved. My beloved child, there have been people who entered your life for a season and then left. Some departures hurt deeply. Some ended with confusion. Some ended without the closure you hoped for. And because of those experiences, you may have become cautious. You may have built walls around your heart. You may have decided that depending on others is simply too risky. I understand why. Pain has a way of teaching self-protection. Disappointment has a way of making trust feel dangerous. But I do not want old wounds to prevent new blessings. Not everyone who enters your future will repeat the mistakes of your past. Not everyone who approaches your life carries the same intentions as those who hurt you. There are people I am preparing for you. People whose presence will strengthen rather than drain you. People who will encourage rather than discourage you. People who will celebrate your growth rather than resent it. People who will walk beside you during important seasons of your journey. Imagine a traveler climbing a mountain. Certain portions of the path must be walked alone. The traveler develops strength, endurance, and wisdom through those solitary stretches. But along the journey, companions appear. Some offer guidance. Some share resources. Some provide encouragement when the climb becomes difficult. The companions do not remove the mountain, but they make the journey more meaningful. My beloved child, there are companions I am positioning along your path. Some have not entered your life yet. Some are already nearby, waiting for the proper season of connection. Some may arrive unexpectedly. Others may grow from relationships that already exist. Do not underestimate what I can accomplish through the right people. A single conversation can redirect a life. A single friendship can restore hope. A single mentor can reveal possibilities you never considered. A single act of encouragement can help someone continue when they were ready to quit. I often work through people because relationships are one of the ways my love becomes visible. Yet there is another side to this truth. Just as I bring the right people into your life, there are times when I remove the wrong influences. And I know those seasons can be painful. Sometimes you mourn relationships that could not continue. Sometimes you struggle to understand why certain connection had changed. Sometimes you hold on to people long after the season has ended. But my beloved child, not everyone is assigned to every chapter. Some people are part of your story for a season. Others are part of it for a lifetime. Wisdom comes from recognizing the difference. Do not interpret every departure as failure. Some departures are redirection. Some departures create room for healthy relationships. Some departures protect the future I am preparing. Trust me with those transitions. Trust that I know who belongs in your life. Trust that I know who does not. Trust that I am capable of bringing the right people at the right time. And while you wait for those connections, continue becoming the person you are meant to be. Continue growing. Continue healing. Continue walking faithfully. Because healthy relationships are built when healthy people meet. The work I am doing within you is preparing you not only for opportunities, but also for meaningful connections. My beloved child, there are people who will help you in future chapters. There are people you will help as well. There are friendships waiting to form. There are conversations waiting to happen. There are connections waiting to unfold. Do not let past disappointments convince you to close your heart permanently. Keep your heart wise, but keep it open. Because some of the blessings ahead will arrive through people. And as you think about all you have survived, all you have learned, and all the growth that has taken place within you, I want you to recognize something that you often overlook. You are stronger than you think. Stronger than your fears suggest. Stronger than your doubts admit. Stronger than you realize. And it is time for you to see yourself through my eyes. My beloved child, if you could see yourself through my eyes for just a moment, you would be surprised by what you see. You often focus on your weaknesses. You notice your mistakes. You remember the moments when you felt afraid. You think about the times when you struggled. You measure yourself by the areas where you still need growth. But I see something different. I see strength. Not perfect strength. Not strength that never struggles. Not strength that never feels tired. But real strength. The kind of strength that continues moving forward even after disappointment. The kind of strength that keeps believing after heartbreak. The kind of strength that chooses hope after difficult seasons. The kind of strength that refuses to surrender when life becomes challenging. My beloved child, you are stronger than you know. One reason you failed to recognize your own strength is because you have become accustomed to carrying it. What once seemed impossible has become part of your story. What once terrified you is now a memory. What once felt overwhelming has become evidence of your growth. You rarely stop to appreciate how far you have come. Imagine someone climbing a mountain for many days. The climb is difficult. The traveler becomes focused on the next step, then the next, and then the next. Eventually, the traveler becomes so focused on the path ahead that they forget to look behind. If they paused and turned around, they would see miles of terrain already conquered. They would see valleys crossed, obstacles overcome, distances traveled, progress achieved. My beloved child, I want you to look behind for a moment. Remember who you were years ago. Remember the fears you once carried. Remember the insecurities that once controlled your decisions. Remember the challenges you thought would destroy you. Now look at where you are. You survived. You learned. You grew. You adapted. You became stronger. Not because every situation ended perfectly, but because you kept going. Strength is not measured by a life without difficulties. Strength is measured by how you respond to those difficulties. And your response has revealed more strength than you realize. There were seasons when you thought you were falling apart, yet somehow you continued. There were moments when your heart felt exhausted, yet somehow you endured. There were days when you doubted yourself, yet somehow you found the courage to keep moving. My beloved child, that is strength. The world often defines strength incorrectly. The world says strength means never showing emotion, never feeling fear, never needing help, never experiencing weakness. But that is not true strength. True strength is remaining faithful when circumstances are difficult. True strength is continuing to love after experiencing disappointment. True strength is maintaining hope when the future remains uncertain. True strength is admitting when you need help and still refusing to quit. I know there have been times when you felt weak. I know there have been moments when your confidence disappeared. I know there have been situations that made you question your ability to handle what was in front of you. But feelings do not always tell the full story. A person can feel weak while actually becoming stronger. A person can feel uncertain while still moving in the right direction. A person can feel afraid while demonstrating tremendous courage. The presence of fear does not cancel courage. In fact, courage only exists because fear exists. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite it. And you have done that more times than you realize. Think about a blacksmith shaping metal in a fire. The metal does not become stronger despite the heat. It becomes stronger because of it. The prayer, the shaping, the refining, all of it contributes to greater strength. My beloved child, many of the challenges you faced have been strengthening you in the same way. The disappointments taught resilience. The waiting taught patience. The losses taught wisdom. The struggles taught perseverance. The storms taught faith. None of those experiences were pleasant, but all of them contributed to who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is stronger than who you were. I want you to stop speaking to yourself as though you are fragile beyond repair. You are not. I want you to stop assuming that every challenge is proof of weakness. It is not. I want you to stop underestimating the work I have been doing within you. Because I have been building strength in hidden places. Strength of character. Strength of faith. Strength of wisdom. Strength of spirit. And that strength will serve you in the chapters ahead. My beloved child, when future challenges arise, do not immediately ask whether you are capable. Remember what you have already survived. Remember what I have already brought you through. Remember the strength that has already been developed within you. You are not facing the future as the person you once were. You are facing it as the person you have become. And that person is stronger than you know. In fact, there is something even more important than your strength. There is the way I see you. Beyond your struggles, beyond your fears, beyond your mistakes, I see tremendous value, purpose, and beauty within you. And it is time for you to understand what heaven sees when it looks at you, my beloved child. My beloved child, there is a question hidden deep within many hearts. It is a question people rarely speak aloud, yet they carry it with them everywhere they go. The question is this: do I truly matter? Perhaps you have asked it in different forms. Am I enough? Do I have purpose? Does my life make a difference? Am I valuable? These questions often emerge after disappointment. They appear after rejection. They grow louder after failure. They become especially powerful when life does not unfold the way you expected. And when those moments come, many people begin defining themselves by their circumstances. They measure their value by success. They measure their worth by achievements. They measure their identity by the opinions of others. But my beloved child, I want to tell you something that can transform the way you see yourself. Your value was never meant to come from those things. Your worth does not increase when you succeed, and it does not decrease when you struggle. Your value comes from something far deeper. It comes from the fact that you are mine. Imagine a master artist creating a beautiful painting. The value of the painting is not determined by whether every observer appreciates it. The value comes from the one who created it. A rare instrument remains valuable even if someone fails to recognize its worth. A precious jewel remains precious even when buried beneath dirt. As it may change, its visibility may change, but its value remains the same. My beloved child, the same is true for you. Life may have covered you with disappointment. Circumstances may have challenged your confidence. People may have misunderstood you. Some may have failed to appreciate what you bring into the world. But none of those things change your value. Heaven does not evaluate you the way the world does. The world often asks, "What have you accomplished?" I ask, "Who are you becoming?" The world celebrates appearances. I look at the heart. The world measures performance. I see potential. The world focuses on mistakes. I see growth. Many times you focus so intensely on your imperfections that you overlook the gifts I have placed within you. You notice what you can't do. I see what you can. You notice your weaknesses. I see your strengths. You notice where you still need healing. I see how far you have already come. My beloved child, there are qualities within you that are beautiful in my sight. Your compassion, your perseverance, your willingness to keep going when things become difficult, your desire to help others, your capacity to love despite past hurts, your determination to continue seeking hope. These things matter. Perhaps they do not always receive applause. Perhaps they are not always noticed by others. But they are noticed by me, and they reveal the beauty of who you are. There is a story of a sculptor who looked at a rough piece of stone and saw a masterpiece hidden within it. Others only saw an ordinary rock. A sculptor saw possibility. Day after day, he carefully worked on it. Little by little, the masterpiece emerged. My beloved child, many times you see yourself as unfinished stone. You focus on what still needs work. You focus on the rough edges. You focus on the areas where growth is still taking place. But I see the masterpiece I am creating. I see gifts you have not fully discovered. I see strengths you have not fully embraced. I see purpose that has not yet completely unfolded. I see possibilities that extend far beyond your current understanding. You are not an accident. You are not forgotten. You are not ordinary. You were created intentionally. Every part of your journey has meaning. Every lesson has contributed something valuable. Every challenge has shaped part of who you are becoming. And there are lives you will impact in ways you cannot yet imagine. The kindness you show matters. The encouragement you offer matters. The example you set matters. The faith you continue to carry matters. You may never fully know how many people are touched by your life. But heaven sees every act of love, every sacrifice, every moment of faithfulness. Nothing is wasted. My beloved child, stop speaking about yourself as though you are insignificant. Stop viewing yourself through the lens of your mistakes. Stop defining yourself by old failures. Those things are chapters. They are not your identity. Your identity is found in the one who created you. And when heaven looks at you, it does not see a collection of failures. It sees a beloved child. It sees purpose. It sees value. It sees potential. It sees someone deeply loved. Hold on to that truth, because the way you see yourself affects the way you walk into the future. And there is another truth I want you to understand. Some of the very struggles that made you question your worth have actually been carrying hidden blessings within them. What felt like loss often contained unexpected gifts. What felt like hardship often contained preparation. And now, my beloved child, it is time to uncover the blessing that was hidden inside the struggle. My beloved child, if I were to ask you to name the most difficult season of your life, a memory would likely come to mind immediately. A season of pain. A season of loss. A season of confusion. A season that tested your faith and stretched your heart beyond what felt comfortable. Most people look at those chapters and see only what they lost. They remember the tears, They remember the disappointment. They remember the uncertainty. And while those experiences were very real, there is often something else hidden within them. A blessing. Not always an obvious blessing. Not always an immediate blessing. But a blessing nonetheless. My beloved child, some blessings arrive wrapped in circumstances that initially looked nothing like blessings. Imagine a seed buried deep beneath the soil. If the seed could speak, it might describe the experience as darkness, gutter, isolation, uncertainty. It might wonder why it hath been placed in such a difficult environment. What the seed does not yet understand is that the very conditions it fears are preparing it for growth. A darkness is not destroying it. The pressure is not defeating it. The burial is not the end. The process is creating something new. My beloved child, there have been seasons when you felt buried, moments when life seemed unfair, moments when answers were difficult to find, moments when you questioned whether anything good could emerge from what you were experiencing. Yet even then, growth was taking place. Not because the struggle itself was good, but because I was working within it. One hidden blessing of struggle is perspective. Before certain experiences, there were things you took for granted. Simple moments, simple joys, simple relationships. After walking through hardship, those things began to carry greater meaning. The struggle taught you gratitude. It taught you to appreciate blessings that once seemed ordinary. Another hidden blessing is compassion. Pain has a unique ability to soften the heart. Before experiencing certain struggles, you may have sympathized with people who were hurting. After experiencing those struggles yourself, you began to understand them. Your compassion deepened. Your patience increased. Your ability to encourage others grew stronger. My beloved child, some of the comfort you now offer others was born from your own pain. Without realizing it, your struggles have equipped you to become a source of hope. Here is also the blessing of wisdom. Many lessons can only be learned through experience. Advice can be heard. Books can be read. Words can be spoken. But some truths become real only when they are lived. Your challenges have taught you things that comfort never could. They taught resilience. They taught discernment. They taught patience. They taught trust. And those lessons will continue serving you for years to come. Imagine a river carving its way through stone. At first glance, the stone appears stronger, more solid, more permanent. Yet over time, the river shapes it. Slowly, patiently, consistently. The result is beauty that could not have existed otherwise. My beloved child, some of your struggles have been shaping you in the same way. The process felt slow. The changes felt gradual. But something beautiful was being formed. You may not fully recognize it because growth often happens from the inside out. You live with yourself every day. The changes can seem small. But if you could compare who you are now to who you were before certain storms, you would notice the difference. You have more wisdom, more empathy, more strength, more understanding, more faith. The struggle left scars, yes, but it also left gifts. And there is one hidden blessing many people overlook. The blessing of discovering that they can survive more than they thought possible. Before the storm arrived, you questioned your strength. You doubted your ability. You wondered whether you could endure certain challenges. Then life tested you. And although the experience was difficult, it revealed something important. You were stronger than you knew. Not because of your own power alone, but because my strength was working within you. The struggle revealed capacity you never knew existed. My beloved child, I am not asking you to celebrate every painful moment. Pain is still pain. Loss is still loss. Disappointment is still disappointment. But I am inviting you to look deeper, to recognize that even in difficult seasons, I have been bringing good from places where you expected only sorrow. Nothing has been wasted. Not the tears, not the waiting, not the questions, not the battles. Every experience has contributed something meaningful to your journey. And now, after all the lessons, all the growth, and all the hidden blessings, something else is beginning to happen. The atmosphere around your life is changing. Old patterns are breaking. New momentum is forming. What once felt stuck is beginning to move. My beloved child, there is a shift taking place right now, and it is time for you to recognize it. My beloved child, there are moments in life when change begins long before it becomes visible. The shift starts quietly, without announcements, without dramatic signs, without immediate evidence. Yet beneath the surface, something significant is already moving. I believe you are living in one of those moments now. For a long time, it may have felt as though nothing was changing. The same challenges, the same questions, the same waiting, the same uncertainties. You may have looked around and wondered whether you were making any progress at all. But my beloved child, progress is not always obvious while it is happening. A river does not carve a canyon in a single day. A sunrise does not appear all at once. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Transformation often begins in hidden places, and that is exactly what hath been taking place in your life. The shift started before you noticed it. It began in your thinking. It began in your perspective. It began in your heart. You are not reacting to difficulties the way you once did. You are not allowing fear to control you as easily as before. You are not defining yourself by past disappointments the way you once did. Little by little, growth has been occurring, and growth always creates movement. Imagine a ship that has spent months anchored in a harbor. For a long time, it remains still. The crew prepares. Supplies are gathered. Repairs are completed. Plans are finalized. To someone watching from the shore, nothing exciting seems to be happening. Yet preparation is taking place. Then one day, the anchor is lifted. The ship begins moving. The journey that seemed delayed suddenly begins. My beloved child, there are anchors being lifted in your life. Some are emotional anchors. Old fears. Old wounds. Old beliefs that told you what was impossible. Others are spiritual anchors. Doubts that once seemed overwhelming. Questions that once consumed your thoughts. Burdens that once felt permanent. You may not even realize how much freedom has already begun. Because when change happens gradually, it often feels normal. But if you pause and look honestly at your journey, you will notice something. You are not where you used to be. The things that once controlled you no longer possess the same power. The worries that once consumed your thoughts have begun to loosen their grip. The pain that once defined your days no longer dominates every moment. That is evidence of a shift. And there is another sign. Your vision is expanding. You are beginning to imagine possibilities again. You are beginning to hope again. You are beginning to believe that the future can hold more than the past. That is not accidental. Hope is often one of the first signs that a new season is approaching. My beloved child, do not underestimate the importance of hope. Hope is not weakness. Hope is not denial. Hope is not pretending difficulties do not exist. Hope is the courage to believe that difficulties are not the final word. Hope allows you to keep walking. Hope allows you to keep trusting. Hope allows you to see beyond current circumstances. And I have been restoring hope within you. The enemy wanted you to believe that nothing would ever change, that your struggles would remain forever, that your story had already reached its limits. But those lies are losing their power, because truth is rising. The truth that your life still has purpose. The truth that your future still contains promise. The truth that I am still working. The truth that new opportunities are possible. The truth that healing is real. The truth that growth is happening. The truth that your story is far from over. My beloved child, when a season shifts, not everything changes instantly. There are still steps to take. There are still choices to make. There are still lessons to apply. But the direction has changed. The momentum has changed. The atmosphere has changed. The chapter is changing. That is why I want you to remain attentive. Do not allow discouragement to blind you to what is happening. Do not become so focused on what has not changed that you miss what has. Celebrate progress. Celebrate growth. Celebrate healing. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it may seem, because small steps eventually become long journeys, and long journeys eventually reach new destinations. You are moving. You are growing. You are changing. And this shift is preparing you for something important. Because whenever a new season begins, there comes a moment when trust must even once again. A moment when you must choose whether you will continue relying on your fears or place your confidence in me. My beloved child, I know there have been times when trust felt difficult, but now I am asking you for something simple and powerful. Trust me one more time. My beloved child, I know there have been moments when trust felt easy, moments when prayers were answered quickly, moments when doors opened without resistance, moments when my presence seemed obvious and unmistakable. In those seasons, trust felt natural. It felt simple. It felt almost effortless. But I also know there have been other seasons. Seasons when answers took longer than expected. Seasons when confusion replaced clarity. Seasons when disappointment arrived unexpectedly. Seasons when you prayed and wondered whether anyone was listening. And it is during those seasons that trust becomes something deeper. Not a feeling, not an emotion, but a choice. A second choice. My beloved child, I am asking you to trust me one more time. Not because you have all the answers. Not because every question hath been resolved. Not because every fear has disappeared. But because I have been faithful before, and I will be faithful again. Trust is not built during easy moments alone. Trust is strengthened when it survives uncertainty. Imagine a sailor crossing a vast ocean. On calm days, confidence comes easily. The waters are peaceful. The sky is clear. The destination seems certain. But when storms arrive, everything changes. The waves rise. The winds intensify. Visibility decreases. And suddenly the sailor must decide whether to trust the compass. The compass does not become less accurate because the storm appears. The storm only makes trust more necessary. My beloved child, there have been storms in your life that made you question the compass. Storms that challenged your confidence. Storms that tempted you to rely solely on what you could see. Yet my guidance has never changed. My faithfulness has never changed. My love for you has never changed. The storm altered your surroundings. It did not alter my character. One reason trust feels difficult is because you want certainty. You want guarantees. You want complete understanding before taking the next step. That desire is understandable. But if you always waited for complete certainty, you would never move forward. Every meaningful journey requires trust. Every relationship requires trust. Every dream requires trust. Every step of faith requires trust. Trust does not eliminate questions. Trust simply refuses to let questions become obstacles. There is a story of a child learning to swim. Standing at the edge of the water, the child hesitates. Fear whispers that the water is too deep. Doubt whispers that failure is possible. Meanwhile, the father stands near with outstretched arms. The child cannot control every detail. The child cannot eliminate every fear. The child cannot predict every outcome. But the child can trust the father, and that trust becomes the bridge between hesitation and action. My beloved child, I am standing before you with outstretched arms. I am not asking you to trust circumstances. Circumstances change. I am not asking you to trust emotions. Emotions fluctuate. I am not asking you to trust human predictions. Human understanding is limited. I am asking you to trust me. Trust the one who has carried you through previous storms. Trust the one who has sustained you during difficult seasons. Trust the one who has never abandoned you. Trust the one who sees what you cannot yet see. You may not know exactly how the next chapter will unfold, but you do know who walks with you into it. That matters. There were times in your life when you trusted me and later realized why. At first, the path seemed confusing. Later, the wisdom became clear. At first, the delay felt frustrating. Later, the timing made sense. At first, the closed door felt painful. Later, the protection became obvious. The same truth will apply to parts of your life that remain unclear today. Understanding often follows trust. It does not always come before it. My beloved child, stop demanding certainty from a future that has not arrived. Instead, place your confidence in the one who already stands in that future. I am there. I am already present in the places you fear. I am already aware of the situations that concern you. I am already preparing what you need. The future is unknown to you. It is not unknown to me. So trust me one more time. Trust me with your unanswered questions. Trust me with your dreams. Trust me with your relationships. Trust me with your fears. Trust me with your future. Not because the road will always be easy, but because I will always be faithful. And when trust begins replacing fear, something remarkable happens. The future starts looking different. The shadows of anxiety lose their power. The worst-case scenarios lose their authority. Hope begins to rise where worry once ruled. Because the future before you is not what fear hath been telling you. And that, my beloved child, is what I want you to understand next. My beloved child, for a long time, fear has tried to tell you a story about your future. It has painted pictures of failure. It has whispered predictions of disappointment. It has filled your mind with questions that have no answers yet. What if things go wrong? What if I am not prepared? What if I lose what matters most? What if the future becomes harder than the past? These thoughts have visited you more often than you realize. Sometimes they arrived quietly. Sometimes they arrived with great intensity. But regardless of how they appeared, they all carried the same message: be afraid of what comes next. My beloved child, today I want to challenge that message. Because the future is not what fear hath been telling you. Fear has a habit of presenting assumptions as facts. It takes possibilities and treats them like certainties. It focuses on problems that do not yet exist. It creates storms in the imagination long before any cloud appears in the sky. And if left unchecked, fear can cause a person to suffer twice. First in their imagination, then in reality, if the challenge ever arrives at all. Many of the things people fear never happen. Many of the disasters they anticipate never appear. Many of the worries that consume their thoughts eventually prove unnecessary. Yet fear rarely mentions that part. Imagine standing at the entrance of a long road stretching toward the horizon. The road disappears into the distance. You cannot see every turn. You cannot see every mile. You cannot see everything that lies ahead. Fear immediately begins filling the unseen places with darkness. It assumes danger. It assumes failure. It assumes disappointment. But my beloved child, fear does not possess knowledge of the future. Only I do. And I am telling you that your future contains more hope than fear wants you to believe. Does that mean there will be no challenges? No. Every meaningful journey contains challenges. Every life contains seasons of difficulty. But challenges are not the same thing as defeat. Difficult moments are not the same thing as a hopeless future. The presence of obstacles does not mean the absence of purpose. Think about your life already. How many times did fear predict outcomes that never happened? How many nights did you spend worrying about situations that eventually resolved themselves? How many times did you imagine the worst, only to discover that reality unfolded differently? Fear has not earned the authority you keep giving it. It has made promises it could not keep. It has spoken predictions that proved false. It has exaggerated dangers. It has underestimated my faithfulness. My beloved child, do not allow fear to become the narrator of your future. Let me be the narrator, because I see things fear cannot see. Fear sees uncertainty. I see opportunity. Fear sees obstacles. I see growth. Fear sees limitations. I see possibilities. Fear sees closed doors. I see doors preparing to open. Fear sees endings. I see beginnings. Here is a story of a farmer standing before an empty field. To someone unfamiliar with farming, the field appears barren, empty, unproductive. But the farmer sees differently. He sees potential. He sees future harvests. He sees possibilities hidden beneath the surface. The field looks empty only to those who cannot see what is coming. My beloved child, there are areas of your future that appear empty simply because the harvest has not yet appeared. Do not mistake unseen blessings for absent blessings. Do not confuse delayed outcomes with canceled promises. Here are things still growing. Here are answers still developing. There are opportunities still approaching. And there are chapters still waiting to be written. One of the greatest freedoms you can experience is releasing the need to predict every outcome. You were never meant to carry that responsibility. You were never designed to control every detail. You were never expected to know exactly how everything would unfold. That burden belongs to me. Your responsibility is not to know everything. Your responsibility is to trust me with what you do not know. Trust that I am already present in your future. Trust that I am preparing what you need. Trust that my wisdom extends beyond your current understanding. Trust that my plans are not limited by your present circumstances. My beloved child, the future is not a threat. It is not an enemy. It is not something you must fear. It is a place where my grace is already waiting for you. A place where my provision is already prepared. A place where my guidance is already available. A place where my love will remain exactly as it is today. So lift your eyes. Release the stories fear hath been telling. Stop rehearsing disasters that have not happened. Stop allowing uncertainty to steal today's peace. The future before you contains more hope than fear wants you to see. And as you move toward that future, I want you to remember something else. Great transformations rarely happen all at once. The life I am building in you is often shaped through small, faithful steps taken day after day. My beloved child, never underestimate the miracle of a single step forward. My beloved child, many people miss miracles because they are looking for something dramatic. They are waiting for one giant breakthrough, one life-changing moment, one sudden transformation, one event that instantly changes everything. And while such moments do happen, they are not the only way I work. In fact, some of the greatest miracles in your life have arrived through small steps. Quiet steps. Ordinary steps. Faithful steps. Steps that seem insignificant at the time. Yet those small steps carry tremendous power. My beloved child, never underestimate what can happen when you keep moving forward one step at a time. Imagine a tiny stream flowing down the side of a mountain. At first, it appears weak, insignificant, easy to overlook. Yet day after day, year after year, that same stream shapes the landscape around it. Eventually, valleys form. Rocks are smooth. Paths are created. What appeared small becomes powerful through consistency. The same principle applies to your life. Many people become discouraged because they focus only on large results. They want immediate change, immediate success, immediate answers. When those things do not arrive quickly, they assume they are failing. But progress is often built through small acts of faithfulness repeated over time. A single step may not seem impressive, yet thousands of steps create a journey. A single drop of water may seem insignificant, yet countless drops fill an ocean. A single seed may seem small, yet a forest begins with seeds. My beloved child, your life is being shaped by the small choices you make every day. The decision to keep believing, the decision to keep praying, the decision to keep learning, the decision to keep growing, the decision to keep trusting. Those choices matter more than you realize. Many people spend so much time waiting for giant opportunities that they overlook the opportunities already in front of them. They wait for perfect conditions, perfect timing, perfect confidence, perfect clarity. Meanwhile, life continues moving. Growth continues happening. And often, the future they desire is built through small actions taken before they feel completely ready. Imagine a craftsman building a beautiful cathedral. The finished structure inspires awe. People admire its beauty. They celebrate its grandeur. But the cathedral was not built in a day. It was built one stone at a time, one wall at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. Without those small acts of effort, the magnificent structure would never exist. My beloved child, I am building things in your life the same way. One lesson at a time, one act of faith at a time, one moment of courage at a time, one step of obedience at a time. The process may feel slow, but slow does not mean stagnant. Small does not mean unimportant. Every faithful step contributes to something larger than you can currently see. There were moments in your life when a single decision changed everything. Perhaps you did not recognize it at the time. A conversation you almost avoided. A prayer you almost did not pray. A choice you almost postponed. A risk you almost refused to take. Looking back, you can see how much that one step mattered. The future often unfolds this way, not through dramatic leaps alone, but through steady movement, steady trust, steady growth, steady faithfulness. My beloved child, do not compare your progress to someone else's journey. Every path is different. Every season is different. Every purpose unfolds according to its own timing. The oak tree and the flower do not grow at the same speed, yet both fulfill their purpose. In the same way, your journey does not need to look like anyone else's. Focus on the step before you, not the entire staircase. Focus on today's responsibility, not every future possibility. Focus on the next act of faithfulness, not the entire destination. Because I am present in the small steps. I am present in the daily decisions. I am present in the quiet moments that seem ordinary. Many people search for me only in dramatic events. Yet some of my most beautiful work occurs in the simple rhythms of everyday life. A kind word, a faithful choice, a moment of courage, a decision to trust. These are not small things in my eyes. They are seeds, and seeds always carry more potential than they appear to contain. My beloved child, keep taking the next step. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting. Keep growing. You do not need to see the entire journey. You only need enough faith for the next step, because every faithful step is bringing you closer to what I have prepared. And now, as we approach the end of this message, I want you to understand something deeply personal. This message did not find you by accident. The timing was intentional. The words were meant for this moment, and there is a reason you are hearing them now. That is what I want to reveal next, my beloved child. My beloved child, as we come near the end of this journey together, I want you to pause and reflect on everything we have spoken about. Think about where you were when this message first found you. Think about the questions you carried, the worries that occupied your mind, the burdens resting upon your heart, the uncertainties surrounding your future, the silent struggles nobody else fully understood. Now think about everything I have reminded you of. I reminded you that you are seen. I reminded you that you are loved. I reminded you that you are not forgotten. I reminded you that your waiting has purpose. I reminded you that your healing has begun. I reminded you that your future still holds hope. I reminded you that I have been with you through every chapter. None of these reminders arrived by accident, and neither did this moment. My beloved child, there is a reason this message reached you now and not months ago. There is a reason you are hearing these words in this season and not another. Because timing matters. A seed planted too early struggles. A harvest gathered too soon is incomplete. A lesson received before the heart is ready often goes unnoticed. But when the timing is right, everything changes. The words take root. The truth becomes clear. The message reaches deeper than information alone. It reaches the heart. Imagine a traveler walking through a dense forest. Along the way, signs are placed to guide the journey. If the traveler encounters a sign too early, it may seem confusing. If it appears too late, it may lose its usefulness. But at exactly the right moment, the sign provides direction. It confirms the path. It removes uncertainty. It encourages the traveler to continue. My beloved child, this message is a signpost along your journey, not because it reveals every detail of the road ahead, but because it reminds you who is walking with you. It reminds you that you are not wandering alone. It reminds you that your story still has purpose. It reminds you that your future is still being written. You may have clicked on this message out of curiosity. You may have arrived searching for comfort. You may have arrived carrying questions. You may have arrived feeling uncertain. Yet I knew you would be here. Long before this moment arrived, I knew. Long before you pressed play, I knew. Long before you searched for answers, I knew. That is why I have been speaking directly to the places inside your heart that few people ever see. The places where fear tried to settle. The places where disappointment left scars. The places where hope grew weak. The places where questions remained unanswered. My beloved child, I know those places because I know you. And because I know you, I know exactly what you needed to hear. Not condemnation, not shame, not fear, but reassurance, hope, direction, comfort, strength, and love. The truth is that many people spend years searching for certainty when what they truly need is trust. Certainty is knowing every detail. Trust is knowing the one who holds every detail. And trust will always carry you farther than certainty ever could. There will still be days when questions arise. There will still be moments when challenges appear. There will still be seasons that require faith. But you will not face them as the person who began this journey. You will face them carrying new reminders, new perspective, new hope, new strength, and a deeper awareness of my presence. My beloved child, remember this whenever life becomes difficult. Remember it when fear tries to return. Remember it when discouragement whispers old lies. Remember it when uncertainty clouds your vision. You were not forgotten then. You are not forgotten now. And you will never be forgotten. This message was not simply information. It was an invitation to trust, an invitation to hope, an invitation to keep moving forward, an invitation to place your future into my hands once again. And as you prepare to hear my final words over you, I want you to hold on to one simple truth. You were meant to hear this. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now, because this moment was reserved for you. And what I am about to speak over your life is not merely a conclusion. It is a blessing, a declaration, a father's embrace, a reminder of everything I have been saying from the very beginning. So listen closely, my beloved child, for my final blessing over you is about to begin. My beloved child, as this message comes to its conclusion, I want you to sit quietly with me for a moment. Take a deep breath and allow these final words to settle into your heart. You began this journey wondering why this message found you. Now you know. You were never here by accident. You were never overlooked. You were never forgotten. From the very beginning, I have been reminding you of a truth that has never changed. You are my beloved child. Not because of what you have achieved, not because of what you possess, not because of how perfectly you have lived. You are my beloved child because my love for you is constant, and nothing can separate you from that love. When fear comes, remember that I am with you. When uncertainty rises, remember that I am guiding you. When disappointment appears, remember that I am still working. When doors close, remember that I can open new ones. When the road becomes difficult, remember that I walk beside you. You do not need to carry every burden alone. You do not need to solve every problem today. You do not need to know every detail of the future. You simply need to keep taking the next step with me. My beloved child, I bless your mind with peace. I bless your heart with courage. I bless your spirit with renewed hope. I bless your path with wisdom and direction. I bless your home with comfort. I bless your relationships with healing. I bless your future with purpose. May the fears that once held you back lose their power. May the wounds that once caused pain continue to heal. May the burdens that weighed heavily upon you become lighter. May the dreams I placed within you awaken again. May you recognize my presence in both the quiet moments and the extraordinary ones. May you walk forward knowing that you are deeply loved. And whenever life becomes confusing, return to this truth. I am still your father. You are still my child. And our story is not finished. The best chapters are not always the first chapters. Many times, the most beautiful pages come later. So keep believing. Keep trusting. Keep hoping. Keep walking forward. For I am with you. Always. My beloved child, before we part, I want to speak to those whose hearts have been touched by this message. The light you received today was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to flow outward like a river reaching thirsty souls. Every super thanks, every membership, and every gift through the PayPal donation link in the description or the QR code becomes a seed planted into the lives of people searching for hope. My word declares that those who sow generously will also reap generously, and I speak that promise over every giver today. I am inviting you to help carry this message farther, so more hearts can hear the words they desperately need. Let your support become oil for the lamp that continues shining into dark places. Let it become water for seeds that are ready to grow into a great harvest. This is not merely an offering. It is a response to a divine invitation. As you give, may favor surround you, may provision find you, and may peace rest upon your household. May every seed you sow return multiplied in ways that strengthen your faith and bless your journey. Do not delay the opportunity to be part of what I am doing through these messages. Sow your seed today through Super Thanks membership with the PayPal link and help my light reach the next soul waiting for hope. And now, my beloved child, receive this final blessing. May peace guard your heart. May hope fill your days. May wisdom guide your decisions. May courage strengthen your steps. May love surround your life. May my presence remain your constant companion wherever you go. And may you always remember that you are seen, known, valued, and deeply loved. Amen.